Hello and welcome back to the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast. I am joined here today by someone I've not seen you for ages, actually. I think the first time we met I was on trial at Tarshin Rainbows many years ago.
Yes, like 6 years, I think.
6 years ago, something like that. It was when I first came to Malta. Jose Borg was the manager.
Yes, exactly.
And I remember I got invited in to do my first kind of pre-trial. And this was as I was sorting out my citizenship to come to Malta. And I remember when seeing you play in training, I was like, okay, this is like the levels of Maltese football. Because for me, you've always been one of the better kind of Maltese goalkeepers based on the island. And I think you were one of the people that, funny story actually, I think you are single-handedly the reason I got a start in Malta, because I think it was the second day of training and the first day I'd played okay, but nothing special. And I could see more and more trialists coming in and I was thinking, I need to stand out here. I need to do something to show like what I've got. And I remember you were on the other team saving every shot our team was having, and it was 0-0 in the training game. And I think the last kick of the game, I pick up the ball from I must have been in my own half, and I just tried a shot from there, and I managed to put it in the top corner. And I was like, wow, I just scored that goal. That's got to be it. I've got to be good from here. And that was kind of when Jose really took interest in me and we started.
You got quite the memory, yeah?
Yeah, honestly, my memory is photographic. But this is Andrea Cassar. Welcome to the podcast. Why don't you introduce a little about yourself?
Thank you for the invite, first of all. It's a pleasure for me to see you again after so many years.
You probably don't remember me, I think.
I remember you. Sometimes even I think we made 1-5-a-side, I think, some back in the day as well together.
Yeah, we keep in touch here and there. I think through social media especially, here and there we check in and just keep up to date. I've always followed your career. I always like seeing where you end up. And you've gone on to do big things since obviously we had that few weeks together.
Yes,
so how old are you now, Andrea?
I'm 31 years old.
31?
Yes, not that quite young anymore. But I still feel
for a goalkeeper.
Up for it. Yes.
31 is still relatively young for
keepers.
Yes,
true.
You guys can play into your 40s if you time it right.
Don't tell my wife that. Yes, I feel quite good. I have started football from a very young age, to be honest.
Who are you currently playing with now?
I am playing with Sirens in the Malta Premier League.
Yeah. How's the season going? You're coming into the final end of the season, right?
Yes, we didn't do quite well this season.
No.
Unfortunately, we got relegated 5 games before the end of the season.
Oh, really?
Yes, so it wasn't that good of a season.
They've had a good spell in the Premier League though, Sirens.
Yes.
I think they got promoted, was it 3-4 seasons ago?
I think even more. I think even 5-6.
Because I remember on the season they got promoted, that was when Ramal joined them. And I believe they went and managed to
I think you're right. 4 years ago, because they went to Europe.
Exactly. They did that crazy run where they got promoted and immediately
that was the COVID season.
Mm-hmm.
I was with Florian that season. Fortunately, we won the league, but unfortunately, I didn't play any games because I had torn my meniscus in the season.
Yes, I did a little bit of research into kind of the steps of your career, and I noticed there was was it 6 months, 3 months?
Yes, something like that, because then COVID struck as well, so the season ended, Thing is, I first got injured in July, in 12th July, something like that, 12 days into the season. And the thing was, I managed to make a full recovery.
Yeah.
It was 1 month and a half. And then as soon as I started training with the team again, I hit my knee with Answer Ruiz.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to try to do the rehab again. I went out for another 1 month and a half, and I couldn't manage to do a good rehab. It didn't work out, so I had to have surgery. So then I had to wait another 3 weeks for surgery, and then I went to do the surgery in Italy. Then it was all okay, but then until rehab, 8 weeks of rehab,
it adds up.
Time passes by so quickly. Yeah. And
how did the team do that year as well?
At Floriana won the league.
Season.
Yes, it was a super season. Even being in the dressing room, It was like
a good
it was
time
great,
to
good
be
feeling.
there, but it would have been even better
Yes,
if you could
exactly,
have really
exactly.
experienced it with them on the front line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Injuries are a
but,
tough part of the game.
yes,
Mentally,
yes.
they rob you of some really, really good memories.
Exactly, and I have some unfortunately had some injuries during the years as well. For example, I have had surgery in my ankle twice, because I torn a ligament in my ankle. It's not that common, to be honest, to do a surgery in the ankle.
My ankles are like glass nowadays. I get one touch. I call it chocolate ankle syndrome. They just crumble.
No, but touch wood after the surgeries that I had in my ankle, never did they give me any problems. So at least from that point of view, it's worked quite well. But I missed another 6-7 months of the season,
Really
because
that long with it?
the same. I got injured in the 4th of July, I think, when I was with Tarjin.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of the season as well. And then I tried to do the same, the rehab without surgery and stuff. It didn't work out quite well. I had a bone bruise, so that takes some time to heal. And that was might as well go through surgery. And then I had like 3 months and a half of rehab. And then I went in.
I mean, thankfully, like you said, you've not had any issues with it since. So
no, nothing.
The surgery must have been a
Yes,
complete
yes,
success
yes.
been worth it in the long run.
Exactly. But still, you miss a lot of time, you see your teammates like playing, training, and you're there in the stands, you can't do nothing.
That's the hardest part for me.
Yes.
I think when you're sat on the sideline, even training is the hardest, I think, because you're there every day.
Exactly.
And mentally, it's so difficult watching everyone else. I've tried to rush back from injuries too soon.
Even me.
And you just end up setting yourself all the way back to square one again.
When I was younger, I used to do that mistake quite a lot, to be honest. And that's why my ankle especially got so bad that I had to do surgery, because I used to twist it. Yeah. And then I didn't really care, to be honest. When I was young, I twisted and some ice, go back the day after, train again, Do you know what? It's the one thing I always try to warn young players. When you're young, you feel like your body is like indestructible. Super machine. And I tell them, I'm like, trust me, like take care of your body. When you feel a little injury, take the time off, even if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just sit it out, get better and come back. Because when you get to 28, 29 and your body starts to catch up to you. Yes. You start feeling quite niggas. Yes. Honestly, I tell people nowadays, my body feels like I'm like a 40-year-old. Honestly, I've been through the wars in my younger years and I feel it now. To be honest, due to the long time injured, like my body, the other muscles and stuff recovered a bit, because at least that was like the positive thing in it. Yeah. Because, it's you start like overtraining other parts of your body, like to make up for the injury that you have. Well, that's what happens with a lot of people with the ACL. They do one ACL and because they're overcompensating so much, by the time they come back, they do their other one in like the first time they step back on the field. Same thing happened with my ankle, to be honest, because I started twisting this one, my left ankle. Then I started having problems with my right ankle because I was, like you said, overcompensating and stuff. Always bearing all the weight on that ankle. Exactly. Becomes overstrained and just becomes subject to much more injuries. Exactly. But now I have no more issues with my ankles, at least. How's the knee feeling nowadays? It's good. It gave me, after the rehab, it gave me a bit of, not trouble, but I didn't feel like before, like mobility-wise and stuff. It took me a while, to be honest, to get back to 100%. It took me like even 1 year and a half. When I was the season after Floriana, I was still with Floriana after the surgery, after that season. And then I went to Marsa as well. I still had like that little bit of feeling uncomfortable, you feel it. It doesn't affect you, but you feel it. Yes, and sometimes it gets swollen out of nowhere, but from when I joined Sirens, I never had any problems with it. I sometimes take PRP. Mm-hmm. It depends. How do you find the plasma injections? Are they good? It's good, yes. For me, they work. For example, I have another teammate that it doesn't work on him, but for me, it works like wonders. Because I usually get cortisone in my left ankle every 3 to 4 years, just to keep that ticking over. I had that, yes, cortisone as well in my ankle, but
And I like the cortisone. I think that is a good short-term fix. Let's put
yes,
it that
short-term
way.
fix, exactly. Yes. Because at the end of the day, I still had to have
Exactly,
surgery
yeah.
in it. So
And the plasma, funnily enough, I've only ever had plasma injections in my head when I had my hair transplant.
that's right. No, my knee I had like I think 5 or 6 times, and I fight it quite well, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yes. It worked quite well on me. So
What does it
hopefully
do?
I
Just
don't.
encourage kind of healing around the area that was
Yes,
affected?
exactly. It will help like the meniscus not heal, like more cushioning, between the bones.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go back in time, back when you're in your younger years. When did you start playing football?
I started pretty early. I was like 5 years old.
Okay.
Both my mother and father ironically used to play football.
Yeah?
Yes, my mother used to play for Hamrun at the time.
Okay.
My father used to play for Marsa, Halli and Birkirkara. So I was
Football family then?
Yes, brought up in a football family.
Do you have any siblings or just yourself?
My younger sister, but 10 years younger than me.
Okay. Is she football related as well, or
She played some football when she was younger, but she
didn't take the interest that mother had?
Yes. She stopped quite early. She was not bad, to be honest. She had a good left foot.
Okay.
And then I went to Australia for 6 months. So when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
So I have stopped 6 to 7. So I have stopped a bit, sort of. I still used to play.
Recreation?
Yes. But, alone, it's not in a team and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I came back to Malta. I used to play with Santa Venera at the beginning.
Okay, Santa Venera.
Santa Venera. Then my best friend at school went to Hamrun, so I wanted to join Hamrun. My mother used to play for Hamrun, so it was...
Bet she encouraged that then.
Exactly.
She was quite happy for you to follow in her footsteps.
Exactly. Then from...
How was Santa Venera's kind of youth set up? What ages were you there?
Before I went to Australia, so when I was 5, and
Yeah.
then when I came back when I was 7 and for a few months, so I don't quite remember, to be honest. No, don't quite remember.
Because I don't hear too much about their kind of nursery, so I'm curious myself.
To be honest, I don't know what happened to their nursery, if it still exists or if they have an academy or something.
I'm not too sure. I think they have the Young Lightnings or something, but I don't know if they put that much emphasis on it.
I see.
I know there's a few teams in Malta that obviously
doesn't have, yes.
are well known for either their academies or are well known for not really investing in their
Yes,
youth.
exactly. For example, I think there is Dinglera, but they have West FC now, I think, something like
That's
that.
just been started in the last,
Yes.
I think, year or two. And then there's a few teams like, I think, Zira don't really focus too much on their youths. And
Yes.
just wait until they're into under 21s.
True. It's a pity, to be honest, because...
Every club should at least have
Exactly.
some sort of foundation to
And
build
invest in their youth. At the end of the day, they will find them ready to make
on.
this step.
Exactly. And stop having to just poach everyone's players once they get to senior level.
Exactly.
So you moved to Hamrun to join your best friend.
Yes, exactly. And then from then on, I have spent like 13 years with Hamrun. Unfortunately, I had to leave because I had the issue.
Yeah, we'll get onto that
Yes.
a little bit later. How was it growing up playing for Hamrun?
It was perfect for me. I am from Hamrun,
Yeah,
so
local boy playing for your
local
local
boy.
club.
Yes, playing for my hometown. Like, supporters make me feel like a special player for
Yeah.
them. Like a local boy playing for their senior team.
Do you know, that's the one thing I really love about Maltese football, because of kind of how close-knit all the communities are and everyone grows up with each other. People really do take pride in that sense of
Yes.
playing for your local hometown club. It is a big thing over here. And I know even for a small village like Gargaur, there were 2 or 3 players that came from that village, and the
Yes,
pride you see
exactly, yes,
when they
yes,
put on
yes.
the shirt and how everyone in the local area treats them. It's very nice to see.
Yes. Like I felt on top of the world, especially when I made the debut. I made my debut very young. I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
For a goalkeeper, it's...
Because I think I looked on your transfer market, and even I think it was the 09-10 season,
Yes.
you were already being listed in the squads. And
I played I made my debut that season in September against Birkirkara.
You said 16 years old.
16 years old.
That's insane, isn't it?
Yes. Quite a long time ago now.
How did the match go? Do you remember the match?
Yes, I played quite well, to be honest. Like the 5 minutes, I was like so, how do you say, nervous. Yes. Even in the dressing room, I was like white.
Yeah.
They told me afterwards. But then I went out like for a cross and I didn't quite catch it.
Yeah.
I think I jumped with Michael Gallia.
Okay.
Back in the day, he was like one of the top Maltese strikers. And I didn't quite get the ball. And it was like knocked me on the floor, and it was like a wake-up call for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're not playing with the under-17s or minors, you're playing with the senior
Time
team.
to grow
you know,
up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then from then on, it's like I switched on and played my game.
I think, especially as a young player, though, it's nice when you get that baptism of fire, they call it in England,
Yes,
which is when you're thrown into the deep end.
Yes.
Like time to.
Cara won the league at the end of the season, so it was
You're
like playing against
the champions,
the team, exactly, the team that won the league.
And it's like, again, like you said, you're always nervous until you get that first touch on the ball,
Yes,
and then
exactly.
everything comes back to you. It's like,
And
okay,
it was
time
my
to
first
step
time
up.
playing on natural grass as well, so
Okay.
it was.
This was at the Ta'ali Stadium.
Ta'ali
right?
Stadium,
National
exactly.
Stadium. Do you know what? It's a thing for me. I need to do it before I leave. I want to play a game on that pitch.
It's nice.
It looks beautiful.
Yes,
It really
it
looks beautiful.
And even Hibs ground, after they do the receding, if you are playing the first match after the receding, it's
Yeah.
even more beautiful.
That's a fully grassed field, right?
For the grass, yes.
Whereas is the national pitch, is it a hybrid, a mix of both?
I
or-
think there's 95% natural grass and 5% artificial, but I don't know how that quite works out, to be honest. But I was lucky enough to have played on the Hibs Stadium after the receding, exactly the first game after the receding. I think it's better than Ta'al, yeah?
Really?
Yes.
Because you see towards the back end of the season, the pitch looks rough after it's been
Exactly,
played on.
yes. But only the first match, yeah?
Exactly.
After the receding. The other matches...
Destroy it.
To be honest, exactly.
Yeah.
To be honest, there's a lot of matches played on those two pitches.
Yeah.
And so even sometimes with it rains and stuff, it's even worse. So for the grass.
Well, it's let's face it, with the climate Malta has, it's so difficult to maintain grass here, and they don't have the luxury of the sprinkler systems that teams in like England have, for example.
And even Hamron Stadium, Victor Tedesco Stadium, before it was like natural grass. Before.
Really?
Yes, I remember it, natural grass.
That's interesting. I never would have imagined that pitch as
Yes.
natural grass.
Yes, when I was young, when I was like 7-8 years old, it was still natural grass.
Because have they relayed that yet, or is it the plan this year to relay it? Because I know there's been talks about them redoing the surface.
I think they have relayed it like 8 years after they have made it the first time, but I think it's due right now as well.
Yeah,
because
I know it's getting
flat.
a bit tired now.
Yes,
Bit
exactly,
tired.
and hard as well.
It's one of those unforgiving pitches. You fall over on it. And
Yes, it's a nightmare for a goalkeeper as well.
painful, yeah. Do you know what? I've never understood how goalkeepers even operate in Malta, because it's too hot to wear all the big like underlayers.
I don't.
And obviously cover your elbows, your knees. And I could not imagine diving without being like fully kitted out.
To be honest, I don't wear them during summer months because I get
too much.
Yes, it's too much.
It's too much.
I don't concentrate if I wear those things during summer
You
months.
feel like you're
Just-
suffocating.
Yes,
how hot it
exactly.
is.
Yes. But during the winter and autumn times, yes, I wear.
There's a goalkeeper that used to play in England for Crystal Palace that always made me laugh. His name was Gabor Karaili. He was Hungarian.
Yes, with the
You
pants.
used to wear with the sweatpants.
Yes.
If I was playing in Malta, I would have to wear the sweatpants.
Crazy.
Just for that added layer of extra protection.
Yes.
Because I just would not trust diving on the floor.
I don't know how he managed to play with that.
I
pants,
know. It just didn't even look right. Like they weren't
yes,
the same
exactly.
colour as his kit. Like
Yes.
nothing. I don't know why referees allowed it.
But even for me, I would feel so uncomfortable playing with that pants, you
Yeah.
know. But I don't know how
he was iconic. I remember growing up as a kid, and every time you'd see a match with him on the pitch, I'm like, oh my God, it's this tracksuit pants
Yes.
goalkeeper. No idea what his name was at the time, but just, it's tracksuit pants, tracksuit pants.
It's true.
So what age did the football start getting competitive at Hamrun? Was it under 15s or under 13s?
Under 14. It was before
14.
under 14, under 16, and then under 18.
Yeah.
Or
So
under 19.
were you one of the kind of, obviously with goalkeeper, only one of you plays the majority of the matches?
Yes.
Are you the starting goalkeeper throughout your entire time?
When I was like because under 14 it was split with under 13, under 14, so we were in the same group.
Yeah.
So that season I didn't play quite as much because I had a goalkeeper with me who was with the national team as well.
Okay.
Who was quite good, to be honest. I was like not that confident in my abilities. Still, when you're young and stuff, you're playing in the big post for the first season, you know, it's normal. And then quite interestingly, what made me feel more confident and stuff is when I started doing 5-a-sides in that summer, in between under 13 and under 14. And I used to do 5-a-sides with like guys older than me, better than me, and then my confidence like started growing, you know.
Do you know what? It's such an underappreciated part of football.
True.
I tell the young players all the time, like, go and get out and play 5-a-side, play 7-a-side with adults and with older guys, because when you play with more physical players and with the older kids,
it's like something like how do you switched on in me, you know, when playing with like it's not getting shots from a 13-year-old kid, you're getting a shot from a 20-year-old, 25-year-old.
The one difficult thing in Malta is access. Obviously, with most of the pitches being owned by clubs, it's not like England where as a kid I was always out in the cages. You'd go to the cages and just play street football for like hours after school. I'd be out from 4 p.m. till 10 p.m.
I used to play in the street.
Exactly.
In the street, but when I was younger, the place where I used to live, there wasn't a lot of traffic passing by, so it was much more easier. Accessible, not like today.
Yeah. Nowadays, there's so much traffic. Everywhere is busy. The roadworks keep directing traffic through the kind of more residential areas. So you never really got that space. I remember we used to have garages, so there'd be just big rows of garages all by themselves. You'd use, much to the neighbours' dismay, their garage door as the goal. And that was it. You'd just play street football until you get called in for dinner. And
that's what I used to do when I was, especially in summer. In summer, every hour after the sun.
Do you know what? I used to love the summer in England. You'd finish school, no more school. You'd have 6 weeks, and it would be like 10 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m.
Yes, quite the life, huh?
Just kicking the ball around. You'd go have a break around lunchtime, go to the local chicken shop, eat some chicken, and then go back out and carry on playing. Yeah, good times.
Yes, good times.
So we've just finished talking about your kind of first experience with competitive football with Hamrun in the, was it under 14s category?
Yes, under 14s.
So when was it that you started to kind of realise that you were one of the better players in your age group and start getting pushed through to seniors? Obviously, you said you made your debut at 16 years old. At what age did the club really start filling you with that confidence that, oh, actually, I've got a real career here in Malta as a footballer?
Like I told you, when I was 14, the first season I didn't, not 13, because like I said, the group was mixed with 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. I didn't quite play that season. And then the season after, I played like regularly. I played like, I think I missed 2 games. I think I only conceded like 8 goals that season. One promotion to won the league, actually, I think. Because we used to play in Section B. The team was in Section B, and we won the section and got promoted to Section A. The season after, it was like the same. I had this goalkeeper who was with the national team with me, but I didn't play quite as much, you know, because it was difficult to put him out of the team. And
so how is it mentally? Because obviously if he's the year above you, you're always going to get that first year of leveling up, and you're this guy, come on, man.
Yes. But you know, it was mentally good competition, you know, because then when you get older, obviously when you're playing with the senior team, you will have competition
all the time.
All the time. And then I didn't play quite as much that season, and the team got relegated to Section B from Section A. So the year after, it was like sort of my year. So, and that year I like played all the games, and we again won the league to Section A.
So you're the bounce back guy at this point.
Exactly. And
cleaning up his mess. Every time he gets them relegated, you get them back up.
Exactly. Our age group was like that, to be honest. Always getting promoted. And anyway, that season, it's when you turn 16. So
Yeah.
when you turn 16, you can play with the under
You
19s.
become, okay. So
You can play with the under 19s.
Yeah.
And that season, the other goalkeeper wasn't like, his head wasn't mentally in the game as well. And he started.
Who was the goalkeeper by chance?
Lee Garrard.
Okay.
He was quite good, very good. For when he was young, he was very good.
Has he continued playing nowadays or
didn't.
stopped playing?
Yes, he stopped. Not unfortunately, but as soon as like I took his place, it's like he
Lost
stopped.
the interest.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But that season, his head wasn't quite in the game. As soon as I turned 16, I started playing with the under 17 and going a reserve with the minors.
Yeah.
There was one match where in the warming up he got injured, and I had to play.
Yeah.
And I had a great game that day. And then I continued playing. The week after, I got called up with the senior team.
Yeah.
Because one of the goalkeepers got injured of the senior team. I think Sean Sullivan it was, because Van Asa played a long time ago. And then the season after, that season, Hamrun got relegated to first division.
Yeah.
When I was 16, the senior team, I mean. And then the season after, like it started, they played the first 3 games. Then there was this corruption case of Marsa Schlock.
Okay.
They got relegated to the first division, and Hamrun went up to the Premier Division.
Okay.
It was like the season already started. It was crazy.
Oh,
yeah?
what, midway through the season, they flipped?
Yes.
What?
3 games after...
After the league had already kicked off?
Yes. It was crazy. Like,
so you're 3 games into Division 1 and then
Division 1 used to start like a month after.
Okay.
So Marsa Schlock played already 3 games in the Premier Division, and then they got them relegated and Hamrun got promoted. It was crazy.
So how does that work logistically? Do they take the 3 games from the other teams that had played Master Slock and nullify them?
Yes, and we had to play them.
And then you have to try and fit 3 extra games into the calendar.
Exactly. It was like that.
That's crazy.
It was like that. And
do you know what? It's funny, some of the things that happen in Malta. I swear, only this sort of thing would happen over here.
Yes, it's crazy, to be honest. Like, the team was, even for Hamrun, it was a bit unfair, to be honest, because the team was prepared for the first division, And anyway, I think the MFA gave them some sort of special permission to sign some
players outside of
players out of the window. I don't know, I don't quite remember, but what I remember that the first game of the season I had made my debut because the other goalkeeper was suspended.
Yeah.
Van Asa. And I made my debut against Birkirkara, like we spoke. And then from then onwards...
So wow, that must have really added more pressure to you as well, considering that
yes, of
you're
course.
in a team that was ready for Division 1 and now you've been promoted to Premier.
To be honest, I didn't feel quite the pressure like being in the senior team, because I had a quite very good preseason. Like I saved 2 penalties in that preseason. We played like good Premier teams, and I didn't feel that much of a difference between me and the other players, And the only thing that I was nervous about, because it was like I don't have any experience,
Exactly.
This is the first time. I'm only 16 years old.
I think goalkeepers in general,
if you make a mistake, you're going to cost the team.
Exactly.
So,
as a kid, that's a lot of weight to put on your shoulders.
Exactly. And
but I mean, you're in good company. Was it Donnarumma made his debut at 16?
Exactly. Yes.
When did Buffon make his debut? Was he a later player? Or?
I don't know.
I feel like he was one of those sort of players, or Casillas, one of them.
Casillas, I think, was, I don't know. I think 17 though, Casillas. But Casillas, I remember him going in against Bayer Leverkusen, final of Champions League.
Yeah.
And being best player for the last 10 minutes, I think, because there was the other goalkeeper got injured and he went in. And
do you know what? They're goalkeepers. It's one of those positions that you wait patiently. If you take the opportunity, as long as you don't make any mistakes, you're not getting replaced, because no one changes a goalkeeper that's in form. It's one of those real form-based positions.
Exactly. It's like, how do you say it? It's like you have to be consistent, if you are not if you are better, sometimes if, for example, you are better than me, but you are not consistent, you will get out of the team.
Exactly.
Because if you make a mistake or two, it
You
will
would
affect.
rather a goalkeeper that plays a 7 out of 10 performance
Yes.
every game than a
Yes.
goalkeeper that will give you a 10 out of 10 followed by
A 5.
3 5s and
Exactly.
concede 2 stupid goals that
Exactly.
cost 2 points. So
Yes,
yeah,
that's true.
I tell you what, I really have a lot of admiration for goalkeepers that can just sit there, wait for their timing, and then when they get the opportunity, because you might sit on the bench all season and then you get that one chance
Exactly.
to play well. It's like, okay, your turn.
Even for the season after, for you, if, for example, there was Martinez of Arsenal. He didn't quite play with Arsenal.
You get one chance at another club.
Yes, exactly. Then he ended up winning the World Cup.
Exactly.
It's crazy, yeah?
It's just, as a goalkeeper, if you can just take the opportunity when it comes, your career just absolutely turns in trajectory. You might be just riding the bench. You
Exactly.
get one good game,
And
suddenly
then, yes,
your career
exactly.
takes off like that. It's
And if you're abroad, I think it's much more prevalent that will happen, because in Malta, unfortunately, no one looks at our leagues, like to go abroad and stuff.
yeah, do you know what? It's a real shame because there are some really talented players
It's
here,
true.
especially in the younger age groups.
True.
But they don't get that opportunity to then really carry on developing their career, because I do find there's a ceiling in Malta about how far you can take your ability
it's true.
with the coaches and the facilities and the research that's available here. There is a ceiling, and a lot of players hit that ceiling. And although they've got the potential to be so much better than they are, they don't have the means to do it here, and they
True.
need that helping hand. And that's something I want to talk about with you a little bit later as we go through your journey, is a bit about how you're working with Sports Pro Malta and the sort of work that they're doing for you, because I know not a lot of players even have representation over here. So you've made your debut at Hammering.
Yes.
How does the rest of the season go? Are you in and out of the team, or?
No, I didn't play quite as much, because I only played 6 games that season.
Yeah.
But
Still as a 16-year-old?
17, yes. 16, 17-year-old, that was quite good for me. I was playing with the under-19
Yeah.
team of Hamrun, obviously. And
So you're still playing up an age group, right? Because
2 age groups.
Exactly.
Because from under 17, because in section B you could have another, the player can be 1 year older.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 years, 4 years above my age. And
So I mean, at this point, you must be in your head thinking, okay, right, the path is there. As long as I
Yes,
just keep
exactly.
doing what I'm doing,
because I am born 92, and I had players with me born 1990 that season, I remember. So it was good for me. I'm reserved with the senior team, playing regularly with the minors team. So
had you been getting national team attention at this point?
yes, I was. I wanted to mention it. The season before that, I got called up as well with the under 19 national team.
Yeah.
But I didn't quite get any caps. Then the season after, so this is the second season with the senior team with Hamrun. Unfortunately, I broke my ankle and had a torn tear in my ligament. That was a shame because it was like 2 weeks before the under 19 tournament.
Okay.
So with the national team, I'm a bit unlucky, to be honest.
So how long was that injury setback?
So I think it was like 10 weeks. 10 weeks, and I removed the cast myself.
Really?
Yes, because I got mad, I wanted to play so bad. I removed the cast myself. Like, my mother went somewhere, I think she got an errand with my sister. And I just took a scissors from the cabinet.
So we'll add surgeon to your
and I cut the cast myself.
your job history.
And I felt like, Jesus, my leg, when I took off the cast, it was like shrinked, it's like
there was no atrophy.
muscle.
Yeah, the atrophy where all the muscle just disappears.
Nothing. It's like only bone. And it was like quite the shock, because it's like I'm a bit muscular, like for my type. But if you...
And I mean, in your teenage years, that's when you're growing the most. So
Yes, and I said, Jesus, man, how am I going to recover this calf? Because my calf, there was only my shin, there was no muscle. And anyway, this was on a Wednesday, and we had a game on a Saturday, and I wanted so badly to play, so badly. So on Thursday, I didn't go to training.
Yeah.
I just trained. To be honest, I went to training. I just told my mother I'm going to like jog around the pitch and stuff like that, So I did that, and on Friday I told her I'm going to jog around the pitch. No,
Took part.
Training.
Yeah.
Yes, took part. Shot in my ankle. Saved it with my ankle, but again,
just
I
not ready.
failed.
Not
I
ready for
felt
impact.
so much pain. Then like it was another 2 weeks out. I did some proper rehab. Not proper, because it was like, it should have been like 6 weeks of rehab.
Yeah.
But anyway, at the time, 2 weeks would have done for me. So got back straight into action. Then by the time, I think that was in September. So it was about November, December. In February, with the minors team, we were losing a game 2-1.
Okay.
And I went up for a corner and I scored with a header. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was crazy, yeah. And
How was it like? Whereabouts in the box? It took me through the goal.
so it was, we're losing 2-1. We had one player sent off, and the coach was sent off as well.
Okay.
And we're playing Attard in Section B as well.
Yeah.
And the Attard team was mostly made up of Valletta players. It was like Valletta Team B.
Yeah.
They were quite good players. Valletta's academy back then, it was very good. Even now it's good up, but
even more so back then.
Yes, exactly. So they were very good players as well. They were top of the league and were fighting for promotion. And anyway, the ball went out for a corner, and then the coach was shouting from outside, from the stands, like, go for the corner. I went up. It was an outswinger, so I used a bit my head, like.
Yeah.
So if it's an outswinger, most probably the ball will curve out, So I stayed just outside the box in the middle, in front of the penalty spot, just outside the box. Then Lou Gregg still plays. Who was with us with Targin as well.
Okay. Yeah.
You remember him? He took the corner.
He's the one with long hair, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. He was in the MFPA camp with me.
Yes, exactly. Yes. He took the corner, an outswinger from the left side, so he's left-footed.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw the ball, I just went like straight to it. I jumped. It was on the penalty spot. I jumped and gave.
Right, now tell me, as a goalkeeper, you're about to head the ball. Did you close your eyes?
No, I didn't even flinch.
Just hope.
No, I didn't even. They told me that I jumped so high that my knees, it was like the Cristiano Ronaldo goal with Patrice Evra, that my knees were with my opponent's head.
Wow.
And
now, what celebration did you go with?
Of course, I took off
all
my
of
shirt.
them. Every single celebration you can think of.
I took off my shirt, obviously, and my teammates brought me to the ground, and everyone piled up on me. It was crazy. It was complete mayhem.
Crazy.
Yes.
Did you see the Malta? Was it Malta under 21s goalkeeper? Under 19s.
Under 19.
I think it's Luca Camilleri.
Yes.
He did a similar goal recently.
Well, the goalkeeper scores is always special.
It always makes the news. Everyone always
exactly.
Wow, look at that. But yeah, that was good.
Yes.
Especially, I think it's always at the younger ages it happens. Like,
yes,
quite
of course.
I remember even at Gargoyle, we had the 13-year-old goalkeeper that came up for a corner. I think the game was tied at the time, so I don't even know why he came up. Came up, scored a header. 9-a-side, but again, just absolutely hilarious. We had it on the Veo, so I put it online and got like 250,000 views for the club. And yeah, very, very funny.
Actually, the goalkeeper got a touch on it. It was Dunstan Zarb. I don't know if it was.
Yes, I know him as well. I played with him at Zurich, I think 2 seasons ago, last season.
He touched it a bit, but he didn't quite manage to get it out. It fell like behind the ground. They cleared it, but was behind the line, and I was shouting like, "Go to the referee!" And then started.
You'd feel like such a bad person if you were the ref and you had to disallow that moment.
And
This is why I don't like VAR though, because imagine like you go and do that,
emotions,
and then VAR come in. Nah, I didn't go over. Like, how can you rob people of that kind of memory? That's a moment that lives with you forever.
Even under 14, I scored a penalty.
Yeah,
I think the senior team only I didn't score till now. So
that's
might
on
as
your
well I
to-do
get
list.
one.
On your to-do list.
Exactly, on my bucket list. Then that season finished. We didn't get promoted. We finished, I think, 3rd place with the minors team.
So it ended your streak of being bounce back man.
Yes, exactly. But still, I had another 2 years with the under 19 team, so I had
Chance to
plenty
get
of time.
promoted still.
Yes. Then that season with the senior team, I only played 2 matches.
What year is this, by the way?
This is 10-11.
10-11. Okay.
Because 09-10 I made my debut. 10-11 was the second year with the senior.
So you've almost gone a little bit backwards in your second season. You played 6 games the first year.
Because of the injury, it got me quite big because they had to bring another goalkeeper. You know, it was like...
You come back, you're suddenly further down the rankings.
Exactly. So I came back like 3rd goalkeeper, and then it was difficult to get some matches, you know, but at least I played another 2 matches. It was like that type of season.
How did the senior team finish that year?
The league used to be split back in the day. Top 6, bottom 4. We finished in the top 6.
Okay, so a respectable finish.
Yes, but we didn't get quite the chance to challenge for Europe, so I got 2 matches at the end of the league. Well,
that gives you confidence at least going into the next year of, okay, right, back in the team, can show what I can do.
Exactly.
Start to carry on working for the next year.
In fact, the year after, I was like promoted again to 2nd goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So this is 11-12.
Yeah.
So the first goalkeeper was Omar Borch at the time.
Yeah.
He got an injury. And I played like 15 or 18 games.
Okay.
So that was quite good. Like getting some games under my belt, you know, consecutive games, getting some confidence. I was playing really, really good. With the minors team, I was promoted as captain as well. Even though I was 1 year younger than most of the lads.
Yeah.
So that was like...
So are you playing 2 games a week at this point?
Yes, exactly. Then the coach just wants some meat. Told me this can't happen anymore, you know. And I thought, what can I do? Like the club needs to decide what to do. So I'm playing on a Thursday and I'm playing on a Saturday. So for me, I was...
How was your training schedule at this point?
It was crazy.
The minors okay with you missing training, or were they quite demanding about you being there?
Demanding. It was crazy. Yeah, some of the injuries that I got at the time was because of overtraining. Yeah, because with the national team I used to train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Because before we didn't train when there was a call up coming. It was like scheduled for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was unavailable for the club. So even for the senior team it was a problem because they only had 1 goalkeeper. Anyway, and then sometimes I used to go to training with the national team, go straight back to training with the senior team. And then from Wednesday, for example, if I don't know, I used to train 3 times. So I used to train from 4:30 till 6 with the national team, 6 till 7:30 with the senior team, 7:30 till 9 o'clock with the under 17 team.
Jesus Christ.
It was crazy, yeah, for 4 hours and a half training.
And did no one from the club try to at least balance out your schedule at this point?
At that point, there was no education on this stuff, you know, like everyone wanted...
Because
wanted me to be on the pitch, you know?
Because I find there's an issue in Malta at the moment with the pressure of coaches not seeing the big picture of the club, but just seeing their age group.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of coaches put pressure on the younger age groups of, even if you're training and playing with the team above, you have to come to my training or you won't play my games. And it's not fair. If you're training with the higher team,
exactly,
you shouldn't have to train with your age group.
Even for physically wise, I got drained, or even mentally, I didn't have one day, at least 1 day off.
Especially as a kid, when you're in that stage there, you need time off to recharge, rest.
Exactly. Even when I was under 17, and I was going up with the senior team as well. Where when the other goalkeeper was injured, I used to train under 17, minors, and senior team. And sometimes I had to go with the national team Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for sure. So my schedule was crazy. My mother used to drive me everywhere at least.
We've talked about your injury history. You've done quite well, really, not to be even worse.
Yes, true. That's true.
With that level of schedule.
Yes, it was crazy. It's created so much stress on my body.
On the turf, especially that Malta has.
And the thing is, with the national team, I used to train on grass. Then, in 15 minutes, I am training on artificial turf. And
that's
I have
a lot of stress for the joints.
15 minutes in the car.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You get all crammed up, sort of. 15 minutes in the car after training, how it feels. Then training again, for another 3 hours. No, I didn't have quite a very good schedule because, like I told you.
How do you manage that mentally to were you just so in love with the game at that point that you didn't mind?
I didn't really care, yes. To be honest, I just loved playing football. I didn't see the bigger picture as well, because it comes from my end as well. I just used to love playing football, so I didn't really mind, playing.
Because that really is a testament to your attitude, because a lot of kids, especially nowadays with the amount of money that's involved in football, if you told, let's say, an academy player in a foreign country, you have to come to training 3 times a day, they'd turn around and tell you to fuck off.
Exactly, yes, of course. But, I didn't get a penny at the time, so I just...
The mindset you had towards football at that
I just wanted to improve, not every day, every second. I wanted to improve. I was so obsessed at the time. I used to go home and watch videos of, for example, saves. Yeah. For example, of Casillas and stuff. Mostly Casillas because, he's short like me. So we have a similar style of game. Yeah. So even for example, if he makes some sort of a save, I used to look at what he's doing, even before the save, his positioning.
Exactly, footwork.
His steps. Yeah. If the defender is here, why is he here? It was crazy. But, from the stuff, I improved a lot on.
It's amazing how much you can improve self-taught just by watching professionals do their job.
And anyway, like I said, my schedule was total mayhem.
Hectic. Man, 7 days a week, 2-3 times a day.
Not even one day off. For 10 months.
I couldn't handle at 16. That was when I finally went to a full-time schedule and we were training once a day. And even that destroyed my body. I just went from 1 day a week to suddenly doing 3 one time a day.
Of course. It's a different...
The lack of recovery and stuff just killed me. And I think within 2 or 3 weeks of my first year at an academy football club, I just broke my ankle, and that was 3 months out, sat on the sideline, tried to come back too quickly, kept sitting out, and then I finally got back by January and played a Sunday league game, not with men, but just for my age group with the local team. And randomly, I just stepped in to kick the ball, no one around me, and I just heard it pop in my back. I herniated a disc in my spine and spent 8 months injured from then on. Missed the whole first year of my first time playing academy football. I was devastated.
Of course.
To juggle 3 sessions a day for 7 days a week, your body must be made out of steel.
At least I didn't.
Toughened you up at least.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Ready for men's football at that point.
To be honest, I was at the time, when I was 17, 18, let's say 18, I was my body was, I was a beast at the time. I was even more in shape than today, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you, yes. Of course, my body used to recover more quicker. My metabolism was more faster. I used to train a lot.
Yeah.
I used to sleep more. I used to eat more a lot. So my muscles, I really started when I was 18. I was bulking up, and then came the season after. It was this season 12-13 or 11-12, 10-11. No, 12-13.
Yeah.
That was like my first season that I have started as a first choice goalkeeper.
So this realistically should be your breakthrough year where you really announce yourself to Maltese football.
Exactly. First match, man of the match that season.
Yeah.
It was, as I saved the penalty. So it was a great start, to the season. Obviously, I continued to play. We won against Birkirkara. They were fighting for the league, another man of the match and another saved penalty.
Yeah.
Then, unfortunately, came the event sort of the corruption.
Yeah, the scandal, let's call it for now.
Yes.
So talk me through that. So how many games into the season are you when obviously it happens?
Midway of the season, it was January.
So you're in January, your first year of being first choice goalkeeper.
Yes.
You've played every game up until now. Exactly. Man of the match awards, like
it was.
And how old are you right now? 19?
19 going to 20.
19 going to 20. I mean, like you've got the world in front of you at this point.
Exactly. And the season before, because I forgot to mention, we won promotion.
Yeah.
Won promotion to Section A, because I forgot to mention.
Okay, so you continued to bounce
back. Yes.
Didn't lose your record.
Exactly. Three categories, 3 promotions. And that season, ironically, we finished the top 3, all 33 points.
Fucking hell.
So we were Mosta, Hamrun and Marsa Shlok were all on 33 points. So how
is it goal difference or deciders?
How the league works here in Malta, how the sorting works, is like they put all the encounters in a table.
Yeah.
So the team that goes on top is automatically champion.
Yeah.
The second place and third place have to play a decider fixture between them to see who will get promoted. And we won 1-0 that match. We played against Marsa Shlok.
Yeah.
They had for the age group, they had quite good players. They had Andrea Cassar, goalkeeper, Jean-Paul Farrugia, striker, Sasha Borch. He's my teammate as well. They had very good players as well, playing with the senior team as well, regularly almost. And we won 1-0. And that ended my chapter as a youth player with Hamrun.
An impressive youth career.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Anyway, continuing on the scandal. Like then it was midway through the season. January, like I was playing very good, being called up with the Malta International 21 team, getting sometimes I trained a bit with the senior team as well at the time of the national team.
Yeah.
So it was going very quite well. I was at uni, so...
Have you made any appearances now then for the national team?
The under 21, the under 19 national team, no, because I had the injury. It was just before the tournament. It was like 2 weeks before the tournament.
Yeah.
Because the injury was in August, like 2 weeks before the transfer window finishes. And then the tournament was in September, beginning of September, so no caps. Then with the under 21 national team, it was like the start of the preseason of the national team tournament.
Okay.
So we were like in the preparation phases, sort of. I didn't get any official caps at the moment.
Okay.
Because we played it was like some local teams and stuff like that.
But you're in and around the squad.
Yes,
you're looking on track to...
Exactly. I played, but they were not official, like playing against Scotland or whatever, Then the scandal came up.
So talk us through, obviously, what happened. I've done a bit of reading online just around it from what's been published in FIFA Pro and the different news outlets that covered it. So you finished training. Was it training?
Yes.
So you'd finished training and you're approached...
I finished training. I took some free kicks with one of the players, like we did usually after every training session. The guy then we used to like shower, we were showering and stuff. And then he told me, come take a coffee with me, like in the bar next to the pitch. And the bar was owned by one of the committee members. I told him, like, he didn't tell me nothing, like up until
Could you feel from like the way he was talking to you that something was about to happen, or did you get no like, kind of inkling that?
No, I didn't get any vibe of it because, like, at the time I was 20 years old, didn't really care about the stuff. I just wanted to play, you know. And we're talking actually about a game that we used to play on Facebook together. Because it was top 11 football manager.
Yeah.
So we used to like discuss stuff and you know things. And told me, come take a coffee with me, at this bar and stuff. And I told him I can't because I have exams, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It was in January. I was at uni, and he like continued pressuring me. I told him, okay, come on, let's go take a cup of tea. No, not coffee. I told him, hey, let's go. You know how it is.
Yeah.
And then I was at the bar of this committee member. It was right beside the stadium. And then anyway, I found another player and another committee member apart from this guy and the barman who was the committee. So
you've got 4 people in the room in total.
Yeah, exactly. 2 players, 2 committee members.
Yeah.
And then like we're speaking, it was like 2 days before the game, and we're playing Hibs, and then we're like speaking like normal about this game that we're playing and stuff, and then just they told me, what do you think next game? I told them, what? We win. No, we try to win, obviously. And then they like starting telling me, what do you think we do this and we give you money and stuff, you know?
So did they flat out come out with it straight away, or was it more like tiptoeing around
and
seeing
like,
if you would take a bait for it, or
yes, and then
how you would kind of respond?
But then it was like after 10 minutes, it was like boom.
Yeah, like okay, he's not playing ball with us. He doesn't really understand what we're trying to say here. Just throw it on him and let's see what he says.
And then they like approached me like with saying, you concede 2 goals in the first half, 2 goals in the second half, and we'll give you 3,000 euro, 2,000 euro.
So at this time, as a 20-year-old, what kind of contract were you on with that level of money?
I forgot to mention, during that season, I have just signed like 2 weeks before, 3 months before the first time they approached me, I have just signed a 3-year contract.
So you're on a 3-year contract tied to the team now for the next 3 years.
And
you're expecting to be the starting goalkeeper for your best 19, 20, 21 years old.
Exactly, with my hometown team.
Yeah.
And no bossman ruling in place in Malta. So it was like when the contract finishes,
you're not free to just move on.
You're not free, exactly. So at the time, there was a capping of 50,000. At the time, my value was 30,000 with the parameters, because I almost played 50 matches at that point in time.
Yeah.
So and I was very young, so my value was very high, exactly. Yeah. And anyway, I didn't. When I was there, I told them. I didn't tell them. I was afraid to tell them no.
Exactly. Yeah.
For people, like for giants, and I told them I think about it.
And let's face it, you're 20 years old.
Exactly.
You're still a kid in terms of football. You're not.
Exactly, and I was
privy to this sort of stuff.
Exactly, and I told them I'll think about it. I went to. Because I had my girlfriend, I was my wife, and I went to her house to continue studying and stuff, because I told you, it was January, they have yearly exams at uni, and obviously I discussed this with her. I didn't tell anything to my parents till now, because my mother especially, she worries a lot. And anyway, I talked to my girlfriend at the time, and I don't know what I'm going to do, because at the end of the day, these are the club, the committee members, and the captain and vice captain,
influential members of the club.
And I told her what I'm going to do and stuff, and she told me she gave me good advice, you're too young for this, and it's not good and stuff like that. And obviously, the day after we came back to training, they asked me again if I am going to do it or not, if I'm going to be part of the bribe or not. I told him I haven't decided yet. And then it was...
So, really, you're just trying to buy time and hope it disappears, right?
Exactly. I was thinking I didn't even sleep at those...
Yeah.
In this period of time that I'm going to mention, I didn't even sleep. And anyway... then my head was everything
Spinning.
but football,
Yeah.
spinning. And obviously, then game day.
So, I mean, they've not even really given you any time to think about it.
No,
What,
it was
2 days? You've
2
got
days,
2 days
yes.
to make a decision that ultimately can ruin your career. As a 20-year-old that's just about to make it into national team football, you're making your debut season.
Exactly.
You're already going up like that, and
Exactly.
one mistake. This isn't like a red card. This
No,
is
of course.
lifetime ban
Exactly.
potentially that could ruin your whole career. Like,
Exactly. And even if you like accept the bribe the first time, it's difficult to get out
yeah,
of it.
exactly.
because-
You're then in their pocket, and that's
Exactly.
it. You're tied to it because
Exactly.
if you say no, well, you've already taken a bribe, so we'll report you.
Exactly.
So you're either selling your soul to the devil,
Exactly.
or you're just going against the devil. Like,
Exactly. There's no other choice, to be honest.
either way, you're with the devil. Like,
Exactly.
It's a real fuck situation to be put in, and at such a young age.
Yes. And anyway, it was game day. It was like we're sitting in the VIP watching the game before us. We're playing Victor Telesco Stadium. No, to be honest, game day, I was lucky that there was a blackout in Malta
Okay.
that we were scheduled to play on a Saturday, I think, and there was a blackout in whole of in Malta, and the game didn't take place. But obviously, the game took place the day after.
God buying you an extra day.
Exactly. But an extra day of like
Torment.
sweating,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
sleeping and stuff like that. And like I made a plan in my head, like I get injured in warming up,
Yeah.
so I don't be part of it, you know.
Exactly.
But I at the time, like I was doing the warming up, I missed the part before the game. We
Yeah.
were in the VIP, like I told you, watching the game before us, and one of the committee members sat right next to me. What are you going to do? Are you going to do it or no? And I told him I don't know. Like this is 2 hours before the game,
Yeah.
and then we were going out for warm up. What are you going to do? And I told him I'm not. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And because I'm not concentrating on the game, stuff like that, I had the plan in my mind to
Take
to
an
get-
injury.
to take an injury, sort of, to fake an injury. And I didn't do it. I just wanted to play and fuck them the bet, to be honest. But obviously, you're having players against you. You're playing against 11.
Yeah.
You have the 2 central defenders.
Not playing pretty much. Yeah.
Exactly. So we ended up conceded 6 goals. We lost 6-1.
So
My head wasn't in the game, to be honest, because
in the game, is anyone? It's like everyone aware, or is everyone kind of questioning what the fuck's going on? Like,
I don't know, to be honest, because, you know, some people give you the vibe that they are on it. Some people give you the vibe that they are not on it and they will be on it, you know? So I don't
because it's so hard to tell, and like obviously. As a normal player, like if you're playing a game, sometimes you understand if your teammate's having a bad day. But
Yes.
like, was it obvious that they were like?
The thing is, like they used to do, not stupid mistakes, experience mistakes. How do you say?
So little things where it wouldn't be
little
so
things.
obvious.
For example, if a players dribble you, it's normal that a players dribble you. But for example, if we are 1v1 and I do a step on the right, you can dribble me,
yeah.
and it's easier for you to shoot. You know, it's like
exactly. So they leave
these-
more gaps for them.
yeah, exactly. No, these kind of things, like not
Blatantly obvious that it would get picked up.
Yeah, exactly. And even some passes, you know, for
Yeah,
example, that they were questionable, you know, because at the end of the day, if you give a back pass to the goalkeeper and to give it to him a bit shorter, then
Yeah.
you're putting him in shit. Anyway, we lost 6-1 that game.
I bet playing in goal during that must have been the most frustrating
Yes.
thing, knowing and obviously seeing
Exactly.
everything happen in front of you and
Exactly.
being the last line that takes the brunt of everything. And obviously conceding 6 goals in a game is never a good feeling for a
Of course,
goalkeeper.
even if it's not your fault.
Exactly,
it's not
that's
nice.
what I'm saying. Like, if
But
it's a
still,
normal
I didn't
game-
have the best of performances. I didn't sleep for 3 days.
Yeah.
I had exams coming up.
Well, just even knowing what's going on
Yes,
is enough
exactly.
to put you off playing properly.
Exactly. It was crazy. Then the week after, to be honest, then it was on a Monday. Like we were doing recovery and stuff. I went to the dressing room. There was this other the committee member, and like I told you, it was January, and like new players come in and stuff, and I used to go quite early to training because I used to be at uni, and so I used to finish quite early and just go to training. So I came in early. I was me, this committee member that tried to bribe me, and another player. And like I still spoke normally to him. At the end of the day, he's a committee member. I didn't want him to fuck me up, to be honest.
Let's face it, you're young. You
don't know what to do.
When you're a young player, you have to be polite to everyone in the club. You have to kind of earn the respect of everyone. So you're not going to go out and speak against him because you've been in the academy from a young boy. Like, these are people that you've looked up to and are meant to have your best interests at heart throughout your younger years.
And then the first thing I told him, hi, how are you, blah blah blah. And then I told him, where does this player play? And he told me a goalkeeper, because you didn't join us, sort of. He was like bantering about it, but he was a midfielder, but he like put it in, you know. He told me, you're stupid because like you would have like X amount of euros in your pocket right now, because the bet still went through.
Exactly.
Like, you still conceded 2 goals in the first half, 2 goals in the second half. So, yes, he told me you're stupid, blah, blah. And he told me, what about next game? We're playing Valletta. It was crazy, yeah? This is on a Monday. After we conceded 6. He told me, what about next game? We're playing Valletta. And then I told him, what do you mean, what about next game? We try to win, like normal. And he told me, no, we do the same. Like, it was crazy. And I told him, look, let me think about it. He told me, don't be stupid. Don't lose money like this, you know? He told me sort of like that, because we're still going to win the bet. And this was in the dressing room. There was this foreign guy and me. This foreign guy and me.
Did the foreign guy understand what's being said?
It was Maltese, so he was Italian. He didn't speak in English. The conversation was in Maltese, so he didn't really understand. It was us 3. Anyway, they started pressuring me again the whole week. What are you going to do? Blah, 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 blah. And I told them...
and is it same 4 people doing it again, or just...
Same 4 people. And then I told them, no, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. We played against Valletta. 6-0, another 6. So 12 goals in 2 matches. 20 years old. People trying to bribe me from my club. It was crazy.
And again, like, this is such an important year for you to really like establish yourself.
Exactly.
Your first time being first choice goalkeeper at senior level.
Exactly.
12 goals in 2 games.
That's not nice.
That hurts.
Of course.
That hurts your stock.
Especially after...
That gets other teams talking, like,
yes,
oh, this guy isn't the real deal.
Or he's...
Exactly, what's he doing?
Exactly. Anyway, the Monday after, I got dropped from the national team, from the under 21 national team. So that was crazy. And I had exams coming up. It was crazy time mentally, you know. It's like...
Emotionally, you must be going
Of course, I started to hate football.
Yeah,
I started to hate football. Then the week after, we played Balzan. I didn't play that match as well.
Yeah.
Then the week after Balzan, obviously they didn't approach me. Then the week after Balzan, we played Birkirkara. And I was going to play. It was on a Wednesday. The fixture was on a Wednesday. I was asleep that day. It was like 8 a.m. in the morning. I was still asleep. Then I heard my mobile ringing. I didn't know I was going to play and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was one of the committee members phoning me. He told me, where are you? And I told him, I'm sleeping at home. What do you want, Spiacita? And he told me, okay, we're coming to your house. So they tried to convince me to fix the next match.
So they're even coming to your house now as well. Fucking hell.
Birkirkara. And I told them, they told me, we're coming to your house. And I thought, well, I have no option. At least my mother wasn't home, so my father was at work as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, they know where I live because they're committee members.
So your parents at this point, you've kept them out of it?
No, I didn't. I didn't tell them nothing. I was not
be
afraid. I was like feeling uncomfortable to speak
Well,
about
I mean,
this.
like you said, it's your mum's club. she's
Yes,
played for
exactly,
them. You don't
and-
want to hurt the image of the club in front of her. Your dad, obviously,
Yes,
you don't want him to.
I felt uncomfortable
Overwhelmed,
to speak about it, you know. Anyway, I spoke about it to my girlfriend at this
Yeah.
point in time. So anyway, they came to my house. I went to this guy's car. He started same repeating, blah blah blah, and then I told him, look, do what you want, leave me out of it, please, leave me out of it, do what you want, just don't speak to me ever again about this. Then obviously I knew that game. They wanted 2 goals in the first half and 2 goals in the second half. The first half, it was raining, it was windy, we were playing Ta'ali. I was soaked wet. Obviously I knew what was coming to me. It was like a barrage of shots. Anyway, the first half ended 2-0. They conceded the second goal in the 41st minute.
So you almost
Yes.
managed to stop
And
it
the
in
goal
first
was
half.
a counter-attack. It was a blatant counter-attack, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think it was Shola Shadia coming up the right wing. He crossed. My defender, instead of clearing it, he did a sliding tackle and he shot in my face. I saved it, but then I couldn't save the rebound. So there was Jean-Pierre Mifsud-Triganza and scored from the rebound. And it was crazy. And then the second half started.
And you know in your head, okay,
Yes.
they want another 2 goals here. Like,
It was like Malta in World War II.
yeah.
Shots from everywhere. And they scored the first goal. And then it was like 88th minute. I was having the game of my life that day.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Yes. But they couldn't score. I was doing anything.
You've probably set the record for most saves in a single
Everything
match.
that I tried to fuck them up.
Yeah.
And anyway, shots from everywhere. I am saving everything. It was like 85th minute. Now we are 3-0 down. They needed another goal. One of the defenders told me, leave another goal during a corner. And he is plays this guy. He's placed in my opinion, the most important position in the 6-yard box. And he's telling me, leave a goal, leave another one. And I told him, I'm not hearing you, shout. So other players would hear, shout. And then the corner comes into his area. He does like this. And I knew that he's going to do it. So I went out and punched the ball. It was crazy, man.
Fucking hell. So you are playing against 13 men at this point,
exactly.
at least.
Exactly, at least. And anyway, the match finished 3-0, and the abuse that I got after in the dressing room, it was crazy, yeah? Like, you fucked us money, you fucking can't, stuff like that.
How is everyone else reacting though?
But we were it's like, how do you say it? They find you in a place where there are no other Maltese players, only you, for example, and the foreigners, and then you fucked us this bunch of money and stuff like that, you know?
Fucking hell, man.
Yes, and then the day after, we're doing a recovery session, not in the main pitch, in the side pitch that there is in Hamron. I went to the dressing room and I find them there both starting abusing me again, fuck you and stuff like that. That was crazy, man. And that is after the session, I went home and I started doing research about FIFA and the Red Button app and stuff, because I didn't want to report the case in Malta because, there are too many, people know each other, when they try to put the case against you and stuff like that. So I decided to report the case to FIFA.
So you're looking into kind of the things that you have available to the applications that you can kind of go through and the different routes of trying to get yourself out of the situation that you've somehow been roped into, even against your own will.
Exactly.
So what different avenues were there? For example, in Malta, what ways were there of reporting stuff at the time?
In Malta, there wasn't much, to be honest, at the time. There was the integrity officer at the time, Franz Tabone. But, obviously I didn't know him because I never spoken to him and stuff like that. So at that point in time, I was I was a bit skeptical about the association, reporting to the association, because, you know, people know each other in Malta. And
I mean, let's face it, even to this day, there's still a big problem with
yes,
match fixing throughout the leagues in Malta. And
that's how I feel as well, to be honest.
I think it's one of those issues where, because it's so heavily ingrained into the game at this stage, reporting things locally isn't the most reliable source, because you know that most of the people that you'd be reporting to are probably the ones that are actually involved in it in the first place. So
Exactly.
word will travel back to...
Even I feel that when I report it, I feel that it harmed my national team chances as well, because, you know, like 3 seasons after I win best goalkeeper of Malta and not getting a call up, like I was 22 years old at the time, it was like crazy. What do I need to do anymore, you know?
Exactly.
Anyway, continuing about the FIFA, the FIFA portal. I have found this portal where I can report match fixing anonymously. I told my girlfriend that I'm going to do this. And I just put a summary.
Did, at the time when you were writing through that application, did they make aware that they would have to publicly name you at any point, or?
They told me, if you want to proceed with the case, we need to know your name and stuff, obviously, and the games, and you know. But I just started lightly. I told them I'm a 20-year-old goalkeeper, and I have been approached for 3 matches from my committee members to fix games, and I didn't accept, blah, blah, blah. At the time as well, I spoke to, because the MFPA was at its inception at the moment, at the time. So I knew Mama, who was trying to get things up and running of the association. So I spoke a bit to him as well, for advice and stuff. But you know, it was at the inception of the association, so there was no red button app, there was no clear procedure.
Powerful and influential as they are now.
Exactly.
I mean, right now they're doing amazing things for the country.
True. Exactly. And anyway, I just went through with the FIFA portal app. Obviously, then I divulged my name and stuff and the games, and you know.
How long was the proceedings of talking to them? Did they get back to you quite quickly, or was it something that you were waiting a few weeks and then you'd hear back?
Not weeks. It was days.
Okay, so
maybe a few weeks. Okay. No, they got back to me quite a while, but to you know, to report a case like this, you have to have a lot of courage, you know.
Exactly.
And to divulge the information, your identity and stuff, you know.
So while this is all going on, are you still reporting to training and
Yes, of course, everything business as usual from my end.
Because you have to have a real poker face at that point.
Yes, exactly.
Not let on that.
It was not nice, because I don't like to do these things, but I had no other option. The thing is,
because you feel sneaky. I mean, obviously, there's always that youth, that culture associated to youth people is don't snitch, don't kind of tell on other people.
But the thing is, I had no option.
No, exactly. But
because the thing is, I had signed a 3-year contract in November, so I have to be tied to the club till November.
Exactly.
Till 3 years. In 3 years' time, I still have to be with the club. When my contract finishes,
you're still tied to the club.
I'm still tied to the club because of the Bosman ruling was not still in place. So I either had to join them, report them, or stop playing football.
Exactly. And
so I didn't have really a choice, you know. So that's why I had to take
such severe action. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, it's needed. It was necessary.
Exactly. To be honest, if I had another option, to get released or stuff, I don't know what I would have done, to be honest, because it's not a nice thing. It's mentally
well, I mean,
crazy.
We'll talk about obviously the implications that happened then because of reporting them. So realistically, if you could have got released, you probably would have avoided a lot of the issues that you got later on, but then it would still be a problem and probably would have followed you.
Exactly. But no, the thing is that you might get the ban because you knew about this stuff. I already have, at that point in time, I have already divulged my identity. So they already know that Andrea Cassar knows about these things.
Yeah.
And this guy hasn't reported, so we will ban him for not reporting.
Exactly.
So at this point in time, I really had no other option.
You basically got a gun to your head. It's either join us or
Exactly.
go against us. And you really, at this point, you have to reclaim your career. Because
Exactly.
you're on the verge of losing it.
Exactly. Like everything was going fine for me doing really well and stuff, and all of a sudden all those things got taken away from me against my will.
Yeah.
Because this is something that
you didn't ask for it. You didn't want to be involved in it.
Exactly.
You just happened to be
at that point in time before I was approached and stuff. I would have never got into my head that I'm going to leave Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, the only opportunity if I would have left Cameroon was if I was going to find a team abroad, but not in another local
And
club.
you know what? It's unfortunate that being a goalkeeper obviously is one of those positions that you are responsible for the result. So you become one of the biggest targets.
Exactly.
I mean, goalkeepers in general are usually the ones that are
when you concede a lot of goals, yes,
subjected to people approaching you to try and fix games, because what's the easiest way to guarantee a result?
One step to the right, you concede on the left.
Exactly. And
it's easy as that. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, because
so being so young and being that most important position on the field really has worked against you in this position.
And anyway, then FIFA forwarded, I think, some sort of information to the Association of Malta.
Yeah.
I think to France Tabone. France Tabone called me in to have a chat about it. And obviously I told him that I wanted to continue reporting the case and stuff. And then I told him under 3 conditions that I would have protection from the police regarding this issue.
Yeah.
Another thing was that I do not have some sort of a ban because I didn't report in 24 or 48 hours, whatever. Yeah. And the other condition was that I would be released from the club. Unfortunately, I know it was out of France Tabone's hands because he helped me a lot during that time, to be honest. But neither of only that I didn't got banned because I didn't report 24 hours. Apart from those, I didn't get released from the club and I didn't get any police protection. So it was crazy because
ideally they're the 2 things you really needed to happen.
Exactly. I would wanted to get released from the club so that I can continue my career
and get away from those individuals anyway.
Exactly.
Because even if they're removed from the club, they're still going to be around the club.
They're still there anyway up until this point.
Their friends, everyone that's involved with them is still in the club.
Yes, exactly.
So
and directly they are still in the club. So, and the association says they are suspended definitely from football, but at the end of the day, they still have influence in the club. So, and
obviously when you talk about police protection, obviously that means that the people that were involved obviously have that side to them that you're not really trusting that it's just going to be a smooth
of course
aftermath.
It wasn't.
People that can be considered dangerous and
exactly at the end of the day these are criminals.
Yes. When you have connections to the criminal kind of underworld, especially in Malta, it's a dangerous place to be because there is nowhere to hide. There is nowhere to run.
Nowhere to hide here in Malta. And Malta is small. Everyone knows where are you, what are you doing.
Your address is public record to the club, so it's not like you're safe in your own home. You really do need assurance from the police that.
And anyway, the police at the time didn't do anything about it. I didn't get released from the club, so the team got relegated, by the way, that season.
Yeah.
The season after, because of my case, the club got fined 15,000 euros and obviously started the season in the first division with minus 11 points or something like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave, obviously, the club, released or not. Obviously, I had some agreements with other clubs that I am going to get released from the association.
Yeah.
And that never came true. So the clubs had to move on with other targets.
Exactly.
Because a goalkeeper, especially, they can't wait for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started the season with Cameroon first division.
So how were the first few days? Obviously, once the case has been brought to light and everyone's talking about it.
The case was brought to light at the end of the season, so I wasn't.
So you had a bit of a grace period to at least let a little bit of it die down.
Exactly.
And then you turn up
So
first day.
I reported the case, like I said, in like February to FIFA. Then it went to about half March to the association. Then I met France Tabon, and then it got out into the news like after the season ended. So at least I wasn't there.
Right there and then in person.
Yes.
So,
But still, the people that I reported miraculously knew that something is going to happen, because one time I recall that one of the committee members, he was telling me, Habib, like in a sarcastic way, Habib is friend, like he was speaking to me and he was telling me, Habib, it's petting me, like miraculously it already got out of the association, so I made the right decision at the end of the day that I had to reported to FIFA,
Directly to
because
FIFA.
at this point in time, I think most of the players and the committee members didn't know that I have reported to FIFA. So, but miraculously from the MFA, word has gotten out that there is this corruption case, and this is like 2 weeks that the MFA got informed. So it was.
So within 2 weeks of the MFA being included in the conversation, it had already been leaked.
Yes, already had been leaked out. So I made 100% call that I reported to FIFA.
Exactly. And again, all that does is deter other players from wanting to speak out and report, because if they know, obviously, there's leaks within the MFA, no one's going to trust the association.
So anyway, this was around May. The words, like it was public, something like that, May, June.
Yeah.
We were off season for sure. Word got out, players got suspended, the committee members were suspended temporarily at the time, because obviously the case, fair enough, needed to be heard.
Yeah.
Now July started. I started training with the team again, obviously, because I didn't get released from the association for some reason or another. Then I was pushing to get released to continue my career at the end of the day, and they didn't release me, because they told me that they wanted the case to be concluded before they release me.
Because surely, contractually, that has to go against your employment rights to put you in that position. That's not
exactly
a safe working environment. And I mean, you've seen in other cases in professional football, I think it was in the Turkish league, there was 6 or 7 players that got released out of their contracts because fans invaded the training pitch and attacked them, I think. And again, because the club didn't ensure their safety within their working environment, they were allowed to break their contracts and leave on a free. I mean,
there wasn't those rules.
Surely that was...
There were those rules, but the Malta football players, obviously I was 20 years old. I don't know about these rules. The MFPA was still at its inception.
I mean, I'm sure that's something they would try to argue nowadays you're not in a safe working environment now, but it's just a shame in terms of legally, there probably was a case for you to have made to get you released from your contract.
Yes. Knowing how justice works in Malta, it would have taken some quite a bit of time.
You'd be out of your contract by the time it would conclude.
when the case concluded, I was in the last 6 months of my contract, so you know how things are in Malta. Anyway, so I started the season in July, August.
So how's the first day? You come into training for your first day of pre-season.
It's awkward. I reported the club.
Exactly. The club is suffering.
Fined,
players are suffering. Everyone.
To be honest, at the time, at the beginning of pre-season, we didn't know where we were going to play. If we're going to play in second division, because they were saying that we might get relegated.
Double relegated, yeah.
Or starting with minus points. So up until 2 weeks before the transfer window shut, the club didn't know where he's going to play. Even the players there were no players. We were only the minors team almost, and 3 foreign players. Not even 3, only 1 foreign player, because in second division only 1 foreign player was to play.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. You don't want to hurt the club and the people that aren't involved, but
yes.
You have to for your own career. And now, as a result, teammates, players that really
supporters
are hardworking,
that at the time as well,
have been affected, and they're not going to see your side of things. They're just going to feel hurt and blame you.
To be honest, Hamrun supporters, when I was before the case, I was like a god to them, because I was young playing.
Do you think
from
it worked
Hamrun
in your favor then that you were a local boy, and maybe if you weren't a local boy, you probably would have gotten a lot more stick
negative
from the fans?
To be honest, obviously, I can't please like a person. You can please anybody, everybody. There's always going to be
someone that disagrees,
disagrees, that has a different opinion of you. Some of the supporters of Hamrun still respect me for what I did.
Yeah.
Like I did, they were like fooling with them. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the other guys that they were bribing and fixing matches.
Well, I mean, let's face it, as a supporter of a football club, the last thing you ever want to hear about your club is that you're selling matches, because then it just ruins the whole integrity of supporting the club.
Exactly.
Why would you go to watch a match if you don't know if your team's going to even turn up to play, or if they're just giving the result?
The game.
Exactly.
Anyway, some of them, I'm still friends with them.
Yeah.
Till now, they still respect me. When they see me outside, we speak like normal. Obviously, there are some that have a different opinion of me, like that I fucked the club. Obviously, my intention wasn't that. I never had the intention to fuck the club at the end of the day, because...
And realistically, it's the club that fucked you.
Yes, that's how I see it, to be honest.
The club let you down. You didn't let anyone down.
Exactly.
The club is the one that should have protected you, especially as a young player. You should never have been subject to that side of things.
Exactly. Especially from people in the committee of the club. Because if there are people from outside the club, it's one thing, but these are people that are in the club. They are committee members of the club. Like if I am going to speak to another member of the club, like to report these two, and I'm going to speak to another one, am I going to speak to him or no? Because I don't know if he's on it or not.
He might be the third guy that's not been named, and then you're in a world of trouble, because now they know you're trying to figure out a way out.
You're a snitch.
But that's crazy. I mean, because usually you'd associate kind of that corruptive side of football with players that have finished their careers and are now just looking to cash out. But the fact that you're literally 20 years old, on the verge of being the best goalkeeper in Malta, getting your national team call-ups and all of this bright future ahead of you, that's such an unfair position for the club to put you in.
Yes. But anyway, to be honest, at the time there were 5 foreigners playing.
Yeah.
So these other 2 players, so seven players. I was one of the most experienced Maltese in the team at the time, because all the other guys were young, so they didn't have any option like to turn to. Already at 20 years old, I already have played 50 matches at that point in time, so I was the most sort of experienced. So they didn't have any another older player
and obviously the other 2 players that were involved are now banned. So
yes, exactly.
They've lost those 2 players. And
exactly.
If they were the captain and vice captain, there's now a whole restructure of the club in terms of squad, because the 2 key figureheads, obviously within the dressing room, are gone.
Exactly.
So that allows you to almost step up into that role of taking over for some of the younger players and helping them.
But I'm saying, when they approached me the first time, I was still the most experienced, not most experienced, but the other guys were young.
Oh, okay. So even in that first year that you were starting games, you were
because we had a young squad at the time. We had 5 foreign players playing. Then there were these 2, the captain and vice captain.
Yeah.
Then I think there was another 4 players that were, one left in January. So I was the next in line that I had the most experience in the team, So it was they didn't have an option they had other options, but I was I'm the most experienced guy, from the other 4 players that they were playing at the moment. So that's, I think, one of the reasons that they have approached me as well. Anyway, transfer window of the season after I reported the case shut. 2 days after, one of the committee members, not that he is suspended let's say, the normal one. Not,
Yeah.
I don't know what he is because I can't swear on anyone. Though he came up to me and he told me, you have to sign this contract or else you won't play this season.
So now you're backed up against the wall again.
Exactly. So I tried like to get released from the club, from the association.
Yeah.
If I reported the case, the association didn't release me. And now I have this guy like pressuring me that if I'm not going to sign this contract, I'm not going to play.
What were the terms of the contract?
The terms of the contract was because he told me, I can understand it from his point of view, because he told me if the case it concludes in mid of the season and you get released, what do? I play with no goalkeeper. So from their point of view, I understand it, but it was unfair for me. So I told him I'm not going to sign any contracts. I need to take advice from someone, obviously.
Exactly,
I'm 20 years old. Obviously, my family at this point in time, obviously I told them in about March. I'm going back in time, going back. My mother was so worried about me because you know how mothers are. It's only natural.
Yeah.
But I used to speak to my father a lot about this because he was like, how do you say, not getting worried. Was not getting worried
He was
as much as my mother, you know.
Level-headed about it. Was able to offer you
some advice,
logical advice without emotionally getting too worried.
Exactly. Then anyway, I went to speak to my father in September, like when I got this pressure, the new pressure from the club to sign a contract or I won't play.
Yeah.
And I told him what I'm going to do. Like, I can't like pause my career because like the club let me down, the association let me down, the police let me down, everyone lets me down.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm trying to do good at the end of the day. Anyway, I thought a little bit about it. I ended up inserting some clauses into my contract that if we get relegated to the second division, I can go on loan to a club of a higher division. And if I get at the end of the contract, I still signed a 2-year contract, so it was not a contract extension. I just signed the contract like not to get released midway through the season.
Exactly.
And I signed that at the end of the season, at the end of the contract, I would be released free and unconditional release.
Yeah. So you inserted your own Bosman into the contract.
I had to, because
you have to look after yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, the club accepted. I thought at the time, given how things were at the time, it was a fair deal. Although I didn't find it fair because obviously
you shouldn't be in the position in the first place.
Exactly.
Given that you are there, this is the best.
The only solution.
The worst situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And anyway, I continued playing that season. Then I didn't get the vibe of it all. Like, I wasn't in my place, you know?
Yeah.
There, still the people that I reported, the committee members, the ex-committee members that were temporarily suspended, they were like lurking around and stuff. I didn't feel quite comfortable. I wasn't performing. It was crazy, you know, because I didn't feel quite up to it.
I was going to say, mentally, you're not going to be focused.
I was conceding stupid goals. I wasn't motivated to play at the end of the day. I needed something new. I tried my best, obviously, that I want to put this behind it, but it's easier said than done at the end of the day, because when it's like you still have people that are lurking around you, that you have reported them, and you know the association lets you down as well. You don't know who's with you.
Exactly, in the back of your head, you're always got that concern of safety as well. As things haven't turned violent yet, but
yes.
There's always that back of your mind, like
exactly when is
something going to happen? Like
exactly
the fact they're still lurking around. Are they planning? Are they not planning? Are they wanting some sort of revenge on me?
I think it was not a good decision from the club at this point in time that they were going to keep me there, you know, because
even just for the rest of the team, it just must not have been that great of an environment to be around, knowing that there's that tension between one key player and some key members of the officials in the club. Like, just for everyone's sake, it just makes sense to move you on.
Yeah, I started doubting the club as well, because it's like you don't know who's with you and who's against you. Because at the end of the day, these two approached me, but the other guys that are working from behind,
so many more people that could have been involved that you just don't know who to trust.
Yeah, exactly. So I wasn't in the right frame of mind.
So you're competing in your first year, obviously post expose, and everyone's aware of everything going on now. You're not feeling quite comfortable in the situation you're in. You've had to sign a contract that allows you to move on, but also ties you down for the next 2 seasons with the club. Yeah. So over the course of those seasons, like, how was it? Like, do you feel like you've put on hold your career for 3 years, or?
Yes, fortunately and unfortunately, that season the team got relegated to second division, so I activated my clause. Obviously, I didn't get the move that I wanted, because at the end of the day, it was the say of the club where they wanted to put me.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Premier Division football.
How many offers had you had at that point?
At Baltan, I had a 3-year contract lined up. But Hamron didn't accept the offer. And at Floriana, I had some discussions as well. But obviously, it was Hamron's say. Hamron wanted to put me, unfortunately, in first division. So I had to go in first division. Anyway, that season I ended up winning the league with Pembroke. The first division with Pembroke was like going back to Trek.
Yeah.
That season the coach was Jack Sherry. Then obviously Pembroke got promoted to Premier Division. I had an offer from Pembroke to stay with them for another year, because at this point in time now my 2-year contract finished with Hamron, and I got released. During that season at Pembroke, the case also of the corruption case goes in my favor.
Perfect.
So
things are starting to brighten up in your eyes.
Finally, yeah.
You've gotten out of the club, first of all, for 1 year, got yourself on loan.
1 promotion after 2 relegations.
Carried on your bounce back.
Yes, exactly.
Streak. Gotten another promotion to the top division under your belt. So that's 4 different age groups that you've gained promotion to the top league.
Every age group.
So you complete the checklist of age groups, promotions to top leagues. You've then got the freedom to now choose where you're going to go, because of the Bosman rule that you had added into your contract, which at the time, as Andrea stated, in Malta, the Bosman rule wasn't actually in effect, and players were finishing their contracts and still being locked into being with the club and just not being able to move until, what was it, other clubs paid out
other clubs
compensation fees?
But for example, if you were 30,000 at that point in time, they deposit the 30,000 at MFA, and then they would be able to discuss a contract with you.
Crazy. That's a ridiculous rule that I don't know how it took so long to get actually turned over.
Malta.
And it was only recently, right? It was only within the last 5 years.
5 years, something like that. Yes.
Just more incredible work that the MFPA are doing.
Exactly. Anyway.
Were you set in your head that you were going to go back to Pembroke for?
Yeah, I was set in my head, but all of a sudden the coach left to Tarshin.
Okay.
And then obviously, like 2 weeks after, he phoned me, like he told me, do you want to come to Tarshin?
Yeah.
He told me that's like sort of like a club, it's more stable, Tarshin at the time, they always had good foreigners and stuff. And then I obviously, if the coach wants you, for me, it's the most important thing.
Exactly. At this point, you spent 1 year with Pembroke, but realistically, you spent 1 year with the coach. It's not the club you don't feel like attached to. It's the coach. He's believed in you. He's the one giving you time.
Especially after those 2 hard years. Like, if he believed in me, like when I was at my low, like, let alone what I can do.
Let me repay him back.
Exactly.
Back to myself.
And then I went to Tarshin. We had quite a good season, to be honest. Also, we finished 6th place. Obviously, 6th place, we weren't very far off from 4th place, which is Europe. Up until like that season was 3 rounds of 11 games, so it was 33 games.
Yeah.
I played 30 of them. I finished with the most clean sheets in the league. The second least team that conceded goals, and they ended up winning the MFPA Best Young Goalkeeper and the MFPA Best Goalkeeper that season.
So you did the double.
Yeah. And so that was quite a very good return back to Premier League football.
It's your breakthrough season, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is, as good as it is to have it, you're still young. It should have come earlier.
Yeah, I was
That's
22 years old at the time, so...
You probably could have had that same sort of season
2 years before.
Years earlier had things not have obviously turned out the way they were. So it's good that you still had the resilience and determination to get yourself back
that season
on track.
that I went with Pembroke, to be honest, obviously I didn't want to go to First Division because I wanted to play in Premier League, but I think that it helped me quite a lot, like to get back to started winning, starting being motivated, starting challenging for something, playing regularly, obviously, gaining confidence back.
Well, I imagine had you have had to spend another year in that same dressing room of Hamroon,
it would have been, I think, the end of my football career at the point in time.
Could have really robbed you of the rest of your career, because that's a hard thing to
3 seasons in a
put
row.
up with. 3 years of just like negative, toxic.
It was such a hard time, but at least I've got through it.
You've seen the light on the other side of the tunnel.
Yeah, in my head, like if I have passed through this mess, that I didn't want to go into at the end of the day,
now nothing
I can
can
pass
stop me.
through everything.
And I mean, in hindsight, you must feel quite proud of yourself for putting those clauses into the contract, which ultimately have helped you get yourself out of the situation.
Like winning the case, it was like I was up against top lawyers in Malta, and I didn't have any lawyer, because I was the witness at the end of the day. So like they tried to, during the
so what
the
was
hearings
it?
and stuff.
Case, a court proceeding?
It was like an MFA court,
Okay.
But their lawyers tried to
depose you. They put you on the stand.
Yeah, they put you on the stand. They tried to turn the case against you. That I went
find flaws in your story.
Yeah, that I went to be bribed, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the cherry on the cake for me was one of the last hearings, I think, and I printed the chats of that I had with FIFA from the FIFA portal, and I told them, if you're trying to like put it against me that I went to get bribed, why would I report myself? And they put the chats on the table, and then that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the association took photocopies, went out of the room. That's it. Like 1 month after, it was game over. I won the case. So
props to you, honestly. The fact that you've got the courage at such a young age, because that's a tough thing when you've got lawyers that are like sharks circling you, trying to find anything to latch onto.
For top lawyers, like bombarding me with questions, hammering me, trying to find flaws. But obviously I did nothing wrong. So
it's so easy for them to twist words, though. All you need to do is say one wrong phrase.
Yeah, but I, to be honest, I
maintain composure.
But I tell them if he's telling me that, if he twists some words that I will tell him on the spot that I didn't say that.
Exactly.
Like on the spot.
You really have to hold your own and remain confident in what you're saying.
And for a 21-year-old at the time, because it was 2 years after.
Real tough experience to go through, and the fact, like you said, that you came out on top.
Yes, and it was
really must be one of your proudest achievements.
I think I should have changed my career to a lawyer.
You've got surgeon, lawyer,
footballer,
a man of many talents.
Anyway, but after the case has ended, I received some abuse as well, because one of the guys started following me. We're in Sliema. Both our girlfriends at the time used to live 1 road apart. From each other.
Now, is this one of the players or one of
the players? And I parked. Recently, I saw the video because it was on a pen drive. I parked he parked after me, like 3 cars after me. I saw him from the mirror. And then at this point in time, I didn't have any police protection. I saw him, I recorded I locked the car,
Yeah.
I put the video on, I recorded him like hurling abuse at me, like get out of the car, like and stuff like that. And then at the time, I went out of the parking, and this was in Sliema, it was near St. James Hospital. And I was like driving, phoning Franstabona, like, what the fuck, sort of, you didn't make me any police protection and stuff like that. Like I did my job, you didn't do yours and stuff like that. And I going to the police station in Sliema and to report him, obviously, and show the footage. And as soon as I turned the corner, I saw him parked there waiting for me, this guy. And I phoned Franz Tabon again, and I told him, like, what the fuck I'm going to do now? Like, I can't report him and stuff. And then he told me, go to the Floriana depot. And I went there to the Floriana depot, and I reported him over there because it was much safer.
I mean, that's fucking crazy, isn't it? Like, that's the last thing you're thinking, and you go into your girlfriend's house, and suddenly it's like a movie.
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
honestly,
it was like GTA, you know?
It's like a movie.
Yes, it was like a movie. These 2 years were completely fucked up in my life, you know, because it's like, how do you say it? Like always having to look over your shoulder, you know?
Yeah, no, of course. And again, I really want to reiterate, you are 21 years old, 22 years old, going through this. This isn't a grown man dealing with like adult problems. This is a young kid having to deal with very, very adult problems that you would just never associate with having a career in football.
At least then there was Adrian Dalia. I spoke to him because I knew that he was all out against corruption. He was the Brigade president at the time. And we reported to the video and stuff to court and stuff like that. And there were proceedings. He was my lawyer. And obviously then I got the police protection that was long overdue at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a shame that you had to physically show evidence of how far along it would go if they didn't protect you in order to get it. Yeah. But again, the fact that you were smart enough to pull out your phone and record and take evidence is, again, just a testament to how quick thinking you are.
Yes. You have to be a goalkeeper, you have to be a quick thinker as well.
Yeah.
So at least my position in football helps me a lot in life as well. Like even responsibility and stuff like that, you know.
Reaction time.
Yes.
10 out of
10. Anyway, going a few years down the line then with Tarishin, that season that I won the stuff, and that was quite a very good season. Unfortunately, I don't know for what apparent reason I didn't get any national team call-ups, because at the time there were quite good goalkeepers, to be honest, but there was Andrew Hogg who was injured at the time, and still the call-up was to goalkeepers. It was Justin Haber and Andrew Bonello, I think, only. So I felt like they don't want me here, you know. I feel the same till this day, you know, because
you don't have any international caps, right?
Nah, I don't have.
I think that's incredible.
Yes, but
honestly, I do not understand.
To be honest, the under 19 tournament I missed it because of my injury. The under 21 I had the case, so it's not. And then with the senior team, obviously it's a lot harder. But I think when you're 22 years old, you're performing week in, week out. You're having the most clean sheets from 6th place in the league, and then winning the 2 awards and still not having a goalkeeper injured with the national team, and still not even getting a 1 call-up.
And I mean, let's face it, it's not as if Malta's one of these ultra-competitive teams.
Yeah, exactly. It was
trying to win every match. Malta have the luxury of being able to swap 3 or 4 players, and let's face it, the scoreline isn't going to be much different.
Yes, but the thing is, from the I didn't expect playing or something, but at least if you have a goal,
the squad, being in the training camp, being at least in and around the picture.
Yes, exactly. At least call me up to shut everyone's mouth, you know, because at the time there was even the supporters like
calling for it.
Yes, because there was Andrew Hogg injured, like I told you at the time. There was only Justin Haber and Henry Bonello. If you go and find the call-up, it was only those two. And I just won the best goalkeeper of Malta.
So do you feel, obviously, with the fact that your case got leaked from the MFA to the people at Hammerin, the fact that you've never been even given a sniff of international
I think, yes.
call-ups, you think
I think there's something fishy in it.
there's some sort of agenda against you because of obviously the case that happened?
Yes, that's what I think, to be honest, because you can't, in my opinion, how many 22-year-old goalkeepers are playing in Maltese football right now? Only one, I think.
There's not many.
And like I had a super season, finishing 6th place and having 11 clean sheets, first place. It was crazy not to get a call up. You have a goalkeeper injured, like I said, from the regular national team squad, and you're not getting a call up. It's like, what do I need to do anymore?
At that point, it's.
But I don't think about it now. Like, I just don't care.
I mean, that's it. Things that are out of your control. Ultimately,
exactly.
There's just no point worrying about them.
I just do my best every day, every training session, every match, and live.
So how many years did you spend at Tarshin in total? Obviously, that's where we met, I think. Was it 2018?
Something like that, yes.
Is it?
2017, 2018.
2017, 2018, somewhere around that timeline.
Yes, I have spent 4 seasons, I think. I have finished there as captain as well, with Tarshin. It was quite an enjoyable ride, to be honest.
How many coaches did you play for
at Tarshin? So at Tarshin, first I had Jack, then I had Jasmine Zarafa, then we were at some point without any coach, and we finished up semi-final of the FA Trophy.
Wow.
I used to do the set pieces of it's crazy. Me and Tristan Caruana was the captain at the time, and Matthew Tabona was injured, so I was like the vice captain.
Yeah.
And we used to text each other like the set pieces and stuff, It was crazy.
So
I still have them on a paper, like I found them like a few days ago.
Why wasn't there a coach? What happened?
Because it was like, first Jack left the team, and then there was a coach from, I think, Vgura that only lasted 2 days. Then we played 2 matches without a coach. Actually, there was Ryan Police. Now he's assistant coach with Hibernians.
Okay.
We won 1, I think, and we lost 1 against Birkirkara.
Yeah.
And then Jasmine Zarafa got the team, and then he didn't last long. He lasted until end of March. Then from April onwards, we were without a team. It was not.
So how many games did you have without a coach?
4 league matches and 1 semi-final.
How were the results of those 4 league games? Were your set pieces effective, or?
I don't remember quite as much, but we didn't do very. No, the last 2 games. The last game was we lost 6-0 against Hibs, but the thing was that we had 4 players on 4 yellow cards, so if they get like another yellow, they would be suspended for the semi-final. So we're playing minors team, section seat players.
Yeah, just to not risk it.
Hibernians won the league, so it was crazy. It was like a battering.
Mm-hmm.
But the game before we played like with normal team, we won 2-0 against Valletta, so
not bad.
I saved the penalty that match as well. So
surprised you didn't put into the set pieces going forward for corners. Try and get
only an emergency instance.
Try and get your senior team goal.
Actually, this year I almost got it, but I went against Birkirkara for the FA Trophy, and the ball fell to my path, but on my left foot, and there was that guy of Birkirkara, the big guy Alessandro Coppola, and he blocked it.
Next time. Do you want to pour yourself a drink? I saw you playing with your water.
I was struggling a bit.
So once you get into flow and your glass is empty, you never find time to refill it.
Thank you.
So your final year with Tarshin, that would have been the season. Was Jose the coach at that time?
Yeah, it was 18-19.
18-19. How did that season go? And then why did you ultimately leave Tarshin?
Well, sorry, can I go back backwards? So 16, so season 15-16, it was the season with Jack. Then 16-17, the season that we had the problems with the coaches. And then 17-18, I got injured. I had to do surgery in my ankle. We're like rock bottom at the table when I got back into the team. Then when I got back into the team, we started getting results out of nowhere. We won against Baltan, who were at top of the table all the season. 1-1, and that put us in contention to play the playoff. Also, another thing of the national team, at that point in time, I only played 10 matches that season, but there were 10 super matches after like 7 months out. And the national team coach was Tom Saintfeld. He's now the national coach team of Philippines, I think. He was in with the South African team, I think Gambia. And he told our vice president at the time that he was really interested in me and stuff like that. So I made plans to go abroad with my wife, with my girlfriend at the time, to Austria, and he told him like the Saintfield told Medward like prepare him like that he's sort of in my plans for this training camp and stuff. So I was like telling my girlfriend, what are we going to do now? Anyway, we played the playoff. No, we didn't play the playoff. It was like 2 weeks before the playoff against Zaytoun. And the coach got sacked out of nowhere because they said that he applied for another job. There was this sort of scandal. Anyway, the coach got sacked. And then we played the playoff, blah, blah, blah. We won 1-0. I made a super save.
So that saves you from relegation, right?
Yes, saves us from relegation. We're almost rock bottom when I started playing in January. And then the national team called up and my name wasn't on the list, so it was like
just more fuel.
Yeah, so like
theory.
After that it was like I don't really give a shit anymore, to be honest, because
you can't keep
your
hopes up every single time just to keep getting shot down. At that point, just move on mentally and
just
worry about other things.
Yes. And anyway, the season after 17-18, I was promoted as captain as well of Tarjin. Obviously, we didn't suffer that much during the season. We finished like 8th place from 14 teams, or 9th, whatever, something like that. We saved quite early, like 2 or 3 games before this season ended. So that is how I finished my career at Tarjin. It was quite a nice time. I had a really good relationship with the goalkeepers coach and Michael Church. He's a very good goalkeepers coach as well. Obviously, apart from it, a good guy, but now he's retired. Yes, and that was the story with Tarjin. Then I decided to move on. Like, I needed to fight for something, I was 27 at the time, or 26, so I wanted to win something. Floriana and Hibs. Interested. At the time, I was in honeymoon in Bali. I had everything ready with Hibs. I was communicating with my agents here and stuff like that. Like, there is a lot of time difference, like 8-10 hours. So we're texting back and forth, like 12-hour difference. And anyway, I had everything ready with Hibs, but they needed to get rid of a goalkeeper to sign me. And then Floriana released a goalkeeper. And I was like in talks with my agents. I told them, hey, I can't wait that much. I have to wait for them. Okay, I have an agreement with them, but I can't wait any longer.
Exactly.
So
football is a very fast-moving
industry. Exactly. So then all of a sudden, from Bali to Malta, my agents like texted me like, Florian, are interested, blah blah blah, and obviously we discussed the contract and stuff like that. As soon as I arrived in Malta, I went straight to Floriana to sign the contract. So, and
Good finish to the honeymoon.
yes, and 2 days after I started training. And unfortunately, I got injured after 12 days.
So not the dream start that you'd hoped for when you moved to Floriana.
Yes.
The injury, how long did it last? You said
a lot. Because thing is that there were always like setbacks in it. I recovered from like the rehab. So 12th July, let's say mid-August, I have recovered. I did the rehab without an operation. Then 2 weeks went by or 1 week, and then I hit my knee with Ansarois, knee to knee.
Yeah.
And so that set me back another 4 weeks. So it's mid-September now. So I didn't manage to do the rehab. So another 2 weeks to wait for the operation. So I ended 1st October doing something in October doing the surgery.
Yeah.
Then 6 weeks of compulsory rehab. So that is like October, November. So it's already December now. So then you start thinking, is it worth it that I am going like training full with the team in December, like when there are no games? And then anyway, I played one friendly in December in the Christmas holiday sort of. But then I started having problems in my hamstring and stuff like that. You know how it is. So I had to spend, like when the season commenced in January, I had to spend another, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out. Then COVID struck, then it was season over,
Bit of a disaster really to your first kind of, would you call it your first big move in Malta?
Yes, I think yes.
And
that was a move that I wanted like to put myself up there fighting for honors, but it didn't go quite as planned. So
the team, obviously for you personally, it wasn't your best season, not being able to get onto the field, but how did the club do overall?
The club won the league, so it was...
Had you appeared enough times to be given...
No, in Malta you are still given a medal.
So you still get given a medal, so you've got a Premier League winners medal to your name.
I don't want to quite rush it.
Yeah, that's it. To be honest, it's a really good podcast, and I think it would be a shame to rush the ending.
To cut it off.
I remember with Ramal, when I had him come on, we ended up doing 5 hours of podcasting. We did 2.5 hours on day one, and I said, look, mate, you live around the corner. Come back another day, because we're only a fraction of the way through his podcast. I was like, let's come back another day. So the end of your first season with Floriana, you've picked up a Premier League winners medal, but you've not really featured throughout the season. What then happened the following year? Did you have in your head that you were going to get yourself back into the team, or? The following year, I wanted to prove a point, sort of. I know it was hard because to change a goalkeeper after winning the league, it's tough. It's tough, It's difficult, especially the coach remained the same. So obviously has trust in his first 11, Anyway, I didn't want to, I wanted to be loyal to Floriana. They took care of me when I was injured and stuff. I had some offers from other Premier League teams where I went on to play. For sure, I was going to be the first team goalkeeper, but I still wanted to be loyal. If they took care of me during my hard times. It's a big thing for a player just to feel like a club is looking after you. Yes. No, Floriana, I don't have any problems with them. They looked after me. They took care of me. I used to go regularly to appointments in Italy because coach at the time wanted to have me operated in Italy, not in Malta, for some reason. Anyway, I said the club took care of me, so I wanted to repay them another season. And I wanted to fight for my place as well. That season we played in Europe as well. I didn't get any matches in Europe. We got knocked out by Cluj. I played 5 from 20 league matches. After that, were you part of the squad that travelled? Yes, part of the qualifiers. We won a game in Linfield in North Ireland, and at the time, due to COVID, we only played one leg, so we went on to pass that round. And then we played Cluj here in Malta at Centenary Stadium, and we lost, I think, 2-0. 2-0, I think it was. How was that experience of travelling as a team, going abroad and playing? So obviously this is an experience that not many players in Malta get to experience. It's
Obviously, it's a nice experience. It's like in a professional environment, you know. Obviously, it's a pity that we didn't get any supporters because of the COVID times. So it would have been an even better experience. But yes, it was like being in a professional environment, you know, focused only on football, not other things.
Because, I mean, lately we've seen the success of teams in the qualifying stages for these European competitions. We're slowly in Malta starting to get more and more positive results each year.
Yes, to be honest, it's a yes and no, because you know that they increased the teams to another competition, the Conference League. So if we're not qualifying for the Conference League till yet, like what progress have we done at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think
That's how I see it, to be
the only
honest.
hope at the moment of anyone qualifying, I think most people are putting it on Hamrun right
Yes.
now to try and break that trend of Maltese teams.
But still, you still need to have luck during the draw, because
Exactly.
if you're paired with a very good team,
And I think that was what happened to them in one of their last seasons. They made it through all the way to the final stage, and then they got drawn against one of the big boys of the group, and it was like, fucking hell,
Yes,
the
yes.
quality of the teams.
it's
I like that. But
Exactly.
that's the difference between a team with a budget of a few million and a team with a budget of
a lot of millions.
tens and 20s of millions. Yeah.
And you can't imagine their facilities as well.
Exactly.
Anyway, then the season after Floriana, I went with Marsa in the first division.
So did you stick around you said you stuck around
Yeah.
another year in Premier
Floriana,
with
yes.
Floriana.
I played 5 from 20 matches.
How
that
did the
season.
team finish at the end of the season?
We didn't do quite well that season. We were playing it with relegation up until the final.
Really? Fucking hell.
We had a lot of, unfortunately, we had a lot of coach left. You know, the future of the club was up in the air. You know, then Johan Seid came, like, and wanted to bring in his team, like, of tech stuff. And, you know, it didn't create that sort of vibe that we had the season before, because there were a lot of changes. You know, the players didn't know what is going to happen to them and stuff like that. No one
That's
was
such a
focused on
big
football.
turnaround,
Yeah.
going from winning the league to suddenly...
We were playing it with relegation at the time, so it was crazy times as well. So anyway, the season after, I decided to join Marsa.
Yeah.
I had some offers from Premier League teams, but I felt that, how do you say, after 2 hard seasons, I felt that I wanted
A season
play.
to re-establish yourself.
to re-establish myself. My knee wasn't 100% at the time, so I imagine being in a Premier League team, fighting for your place, and then your knee is giving you problems, you know. So I didn't want to win my place, and then I have to
Overdo it.
yes, and or I have to sit out some matches, and then I have to fight for my place again. So I took the decision, like, to play regular football. I was with Potenza as well.
Yeah.
He was with me at Floriana. We respected each other. Although I didn't play that much, like, we had a good relationship with each other. Like, even in January of the second season, there were some offers for me. He told me I will not, from Premier League teams, he told me I will not be like a stumbling block for you if you want to leave and play. Like,
It's always nice when you have that respect with
yes,
the club.
although
and allow
I didn't play a lot with him, with Potenza at Floriana. I had a very good relationship, you know. At Marsa, we maintained that good relationship. I was a regular starter, obviously, for him.
And Marsa was a good project to be a part of. They were investing into the team to try and get them into...
Yes, but the thing is, like, with the former president, I don't know if they did the due diligence they should have done, because, you know, the salaries were like 7 months in arrears in salaries, and he used to tell us that he will come with the paper, like, from BOV, that he'll make the transfer of money, and the transfer never came through. It was crazy, you know.
Was this the president that had gotten them promotion from...
No, he was an Italian guy.
Okay. Because I remember they started the project and it was the season COVID ended the league early and they weren't allowed to be promoted.
Yes. No, that was another guy.
He then pulled the money out of the club and said, okay, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, because he made that complaint to the MFA. If you don't promote me, I'm taking
That was
everything
Joseph
and I'm
Schurer.
leaving. Yeah.
But then another guy came in, Italian guy, and I don't know, who was promising a lot of things, and okay, we had like very good players, and unfortunately when you have this kind of problems,
it affects everyone.
Yes.
Everyone gets pissed off.
For
People
example,
aren't happy, and when you're not
yes.
happy, you can't play properly.
For example, in January of the season, I had offers from Premier League clubs. I spoke to him. I told him, "Isma, if you're not going to pay me,
Exactly.
release me, and I will
Sign
for a Premier League club. Like, I have no time to waste." He told me, for you to leave, you have to like forgo your salaries. Like, what the fuck, man? This is 2023, man.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
and my professional work, I work 30 hours, like, to be able to focus more time on football. So like, how can you do that to me? I told him, okay, no problem, I will stay here.
Exactly. At the end of the day, when football is your career,
that's why
you're going to look after yourself first and foremost.
Yeah, of course.
Wages.
That's why, of course, I got angry with that situation, and then that's why I had 2 years contract with Marsa, and that's why I written for the full contract. Then I written to the full contract, breach of contract to MFA. I was so angry at that point in time. It was crazy, because to do something like that, like,
it's insulting as a player.
Yeah, it's insulting.
It's insulting.
It's insulting for my pride as well.
The only thing that you can really like expect from a club, if you agree to pay me a certain amount of money, just pay me on time. That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Like, it's not.
No, thing is, in Malta, I know how it is, the situation with clubs. They don't have any income, stuff like that. But how do you say it? Don't make a fool out of me that you're giving me like slips of bank transfers to me, showing me, and then the transfer doesn't go through.
Just tell me. If you can't afford to pay me this month, look, I'll try and get you next month. It's not coming. I don't have the money.
Exactly. Just be honest with me. Not
You'd be
trying
pissed
to make...
off, but okay, fine,
Yes,
whatever.
exactly.
I can deal with that. But when you lie and try and make this whole drama and charade about it, just...
Yes, and I got really angry about it because I'd rather be honest with me. I have no money, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, it's shit. It is what it is.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Fine, we'll move forward.
And then in January I tried to leave, and then you insult me like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was like the end of the straw for me. Like, I still stayed professional, did 100% for the club. We almost got promoted anyway. It was minus 2 points because one of my reserve goalkeepers kicked the linesman after the game, and we got deducted another 2 points. So that affected our promotion chances. And anyway, that season...
Why did he kick the lino? I feel like we almost hovered over that. It took a minute in my head to click. I was like, wait, what?
Thing is, we're playing Pietà. It was a direct encounter with playing Marsa Pietà. It was a direct encounter for promotion spots. And the action was one of the Pietà players gave a short back pass to the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Our striker got the ball.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper
took him out.
Yeah, took him out, and he gave a penalty. And then all of a sudden he changed his decision. That was a back pass, but that was an offside. But an offside, it was a
back pass.
It was a back pass to the goalkeeper, and he gave an offside, and it was like mayhem in the pitch.
Fucking hell.
Yes, and things got heated at the end of the match, and both my goalkeepers got suspended. Both my reserve goalkeepers, and Marsa didn't have a nursery, or academy, whatever. Yeah. And so the last 4 matches, because one of the goalkeepers the one that kicked him, got 2 years suspended, and the other one got 4 matches. So for 4 matches, I had a player as a substitute goalkeeper. If I get injured or sent off, it was like Sunday league football. Steve Benzina was like, imagine at the end of the team talk, Potenza saying, Coach Potenza saying, Infortunio Cassar or Indisposto Cassar, Benzina goalkeeper. And Benzina was central defender.
Oh my God.
Crazy, yeah.
It's funny, man.
Yeah.
2-year ban though. What?
It's crazy. But I didn't see it. To be honest.
Because I remember reading on the news. I remember that case getting put on I think it was replay, and them talking about it. And I had to use Google Translate to obviously translate the article. I don't think it translated.
You should have asked me. But I didn't see it happening, but on the report of the referee, that was how it was put, that he kicked him, I don't know where, but he got 2 years banned.
Lucky it's only 2 years, to be honest. It could have been a lot worse.
And the thing is that we got 2 points deduction.
Yeah. So how did that affect the final position, those 2
Of
points?
course. Then obviously we threw the towel. Weren't getting paid, minus 2 points, where it was only like 3 or 4 games left. We were like, as a protest, we weren't training even in an 11-a-side pitch. We were training in a 5-a-side pitch doing...
Oh, it's not that 5-a-side pitch in Marsa, is it? Oh, fucking hell. You were training there.
Yes, for 1 month and a half. Imagine training there and going for matches and winning, yeah?
That's what I remember Nashar were doing that at one point in Division 1. They were training on the pitch outside and still like putting in good performances. I was thinking to myself, I was like,
how was that even possible?
How are they doing? I went to a few of their trainings because I almost signed with them in 1 January. And I was looking at their training session. I was like, there's no way this team are winning games playing on this pitch. Like, this is ridiculous.
But we're a good bunch of...
That's it. I think if you have a good, close-knit bunch of players that are talented individuals that have that teamwork in them.
Ironically, I had Ryan Fanek with me, the one that it was his brother that I reported to the... Yes.
Ah, wow.
But to be honest, we spoke about it at the beginning.
How does that work? Like on the first day, you just look at each other and go, I think we need to have a conversation. Or
yes, before he signed, but it was like, man enough, like what happened in the past is in the past now. Obviously, it's his family. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I understand that he had a grudge against me sort of at some point, obviously, because it's his brother at the end of the day. But we're professionals on the field, we to be honest, we got along quite well. Because we had a lot of problems during that season because of salaries and stuff. And
I tell you what, though, that's one way to bring a team together. When everyone is getting fucked over by someone not paying, the players feel so much more close-knit that everyone's in it together. Like,
exactly.
Man, fuck this guy. Come on.
I remember, like, there were some sessions that we didn't train. We just went to the dressing room, like, what are we going to do? Because obviously there was the goalkeepers coach, Potenza, who was full-time there. Obviously, no money. The goalkeepers coach was Italian, no money.
Yeah.
The assistant coach, unfortunately, he died 1 year ago yesterday. He was full-time Italian as well. Like, obviously, we had 5 foreigners. One of them, they didn't renew his visa. He was stuck in Canada.
Fucking hell.
It was crazy, man. It was crazy times. He was like texting us, like they put him in a hotel room and he can't go out of it, like with a security guard.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Was that, would Valdo still have been at the club at that point?
Yes, with Valdo, yes.
Valdo's a good friend
Valdo
of mine.
was one of the foreigners.
He's a funny guy. He's doing good work now, actually, as well, with his strength and condition.
Yes, I see some of his posts on Facebook and stuff.
He's one person I think I might have lined up for season 2.
Of course, he's a good guy as well.
I
played against him as well and with him.
Yeah?
Yeah, I played against him when he was with Valletta, I think.
Right, so we just finished talking about your experience with Marsa. Obviously, it didn't end the way you wanted it to. You'd gone through a little bit of financial issues with the chairman at the time and obviously contractual disputes with him. Let's face it, taking the piss really when it comes to trying to get yourself out of your contract. So you wait out the 2 years under contract with Marsa. Did you eventually get paid up?
Yes.
And settled for all of the money that was owed to you?
Yes.
And then what was next for you after that? What did you decide to do?
So obviously now I have gotten back to track, sort of my knee wasn't giving me like any problems now and then. I was ready for a bigger competition. I had a good season.
Let's face it, you're a Premier League player.
Thank you.
Playing in Division 1, you're very much a luxury player for a Division 1 team to have. When I saw you move into Marsa, I thought, wow, that's a good signing for a team to have in Division 1.
Thank you. But now I wanted to challenge myself again to a higher level.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had some offers from other clubs apart from Sirens. But Sirens, I think, was the best way to go. The coach, Winston Muscat, at the time really wanted me. Obviously, I felt welcome as well by the committee and president at the time. which are still mostly part of the on the committee stuff at the back.
The back end of the club, yeah.
So I decided to join Sirens. Was the starting goalkeeper at the beginning of the season. Played like 4 consecutive matches, then been benched for 2, then played another 4. Then I got an injury.
Okay.
I tore a muscle in my calf.
Yeah.
It's called the soleus muscle. So it took me about 1 month and a half to get back on track. I was competing with Matthew Gregg for a spot, the national team goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So it was like a very good competition as well. I played few matches as well. After I recovered from the injury, and then obviously the season finished. We finished quite comfortably in middle of the table, but between bottom and middle of the table. We were saved from relegation quite early on. So in January I had an offer from another team, Premier League team, to join them. Obviously I spoke with the coach at the time, Winston, and I told him, if I'm not in your plans like to play and stuff, I don't want to spend like 6 months on the bench after my injury. Like you're starting goalkeeper at the beginning of the season, blah blah blah. And I told him, and he told me like, I'm not going to leave you like 6 months on the bench for sure. Obviously he kept his word, and I played some matches. So all was good. Then the second season with Sirens started. Ironically, after 13 years, this is the first time that I have worked with the coach that gave me my debut in the Premier League.
Okay.
Steve D'Amato. Obviously, he's a special coach for me, because when you're 16 and he puts you in the Wolves den,
it's a lot of trust to have from a coach.
Exactly.
You end up having a lot of respect for someone that trusts you that much.
Yes, exactly. So obviously, in summer I had some offers as well from other clubs. But obviously, since I knew that Steve D'Amato would be the coach, and obviously the committee and president wanted me to stay with Sirens, I still had another contract to run, another year to run on my contract. So obviously,
you stuck it out.
Yeah, I stuck it out. Like a team, I didn't feel we quite performed. Obviously, we had some problems with injuries as well. We had like one Maltese player who was planned to play at centre back. He tore his cruciate ligament in pre-season. So then we had the player from Ghana who was playing like making off as a centre back. He tore his cruciate ligament as well. So it was crazy.
Jesus Christ.
So we have been like for 6 months of the season, the first 6 months, playing with one centre back and another
makeshift
defensive midfielder, and they didn't really quite get along well. Like on the pitch, they didn't complement each other, So it was raining goals. Obviously, when you concede goals, it's like you're paving the way for a win for your opponent. So when you concede a goal, it's harder. It's like you have to go through a hill to get some points,
Game,
And how the league is being played like this season, it's like all the teams are defending, waiting for a mistake. It's not like attacking football. It's like you're keeping possession of the ball. Once you make a mistake, they attack you and they score. It's like that kind of football, So it is much more harder to score.
And break down teams,
So especially if you're 1 goal behind. So that has been the story of our season, this season.
Because this year, that was the start of the project that Sirens had put together with the African link, right?
Yeah.
They had made the deal with the Ghanaian team and brought across a big group of players.
Yes, I think they brought 8 players from Medeyama. They won the league. Obviously, not all the players were part of this squad, like first team regulars.
How was that group in general? Obviously, you're playing with them at the moment. Like,
they are like good people, all of them. Like I have no problems with them.
do you feel
obviously,
like chemistry-wise, they came in with that already kind of built chemistry, or do you think it's taken them a while to try and adjust to then playing with the Maltese players?
the thing is, like, African football is different from European football, you know. So, and they are young. Most of them, they are young. Like they are 19, 18, 20-year-olds.
I've seen a few of them in the Section C minors league when they come down to play for Cyrene.
Yes, it's a different ball game, you know. Not it's a different ball, it's a different kind of game, you know. And to get used to it, especially if you don't have any experience,
it's tough.
It's tough.
And playing against grown men that have experience,
yes, exactly,
and know how to ride games out to just get a result.
Yes,
it's difficult.
And obviously, we lacked that kind of experience in the team. To be honest with you, like most of them have great potential in the game.
I think it's a gateway for them, isn't it, to go into bigger leagues in Europe. Yes. They start earning their work permit points here so that they can then qualify to play in some larger countries. But
they have some of them that I think they have great potential to go further, yes, in the game. But I don't think that like bringing a big group like to be like the core of the team, you know. And from a different continent and at such a young age was the best thing for the team, you know.
As financially, it might be quite lucrative for them in the long run when they sell a few of these players on, but at the detriment of the club in the short term, because like you said, the teams I've struggled this year.
I feel that the club want to do it with good intention at the end of the day, but how I think it wasn't the right moment, because
maybe a bit too much too soon.
Yeah, because this year as well, 4 teams get relegated. So, you know, having that risk at this point in time where 4 teams get relegated, it's a bit risky, you know.
Let's face it, in the Premier League, especially with so many foreign players on the pitch, you need your foreign players to be experienced players that can hold the team together.
And to perform week in, week out. At the end of the day, when you're young, you are not that consistent.
They're inconsistent.
And
they might have flashes of brilliance.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like you see, for example, some players in training, like whoa, why they don't perform like this in the game, you know? Or for example, you see one player doing this kind of action like during the game, but it's only once.
Exactly.
You know,
then they fade out and don't touch the ball for 30, 40 minutes.
Exactly. It's, you know, you have to be at this point, you have to be consistent, you know, and that is something that we lacked during the season. We conceded too many stupid goals, you know, going behind, conceded stupid goals. Obviously, it gets harder.
It must be frustrating as well, obviously, being the goalkeeper.
Yeah, of course.
Suffering from the lack of experience in front of you.
I think conceded 36 goals in 20 matches that I have played, so...
Take a look, I've got Transfermarkt here, I can confirm. So Transfermarkt has you down 37 in 19 league appearances.
37 in 19, so it's like 2 goals in every match, so it's not nice. But anyway, personally, I feel that I still had a good season. I made some good saves.
Yeah.
Obviously, not only saves are part of football, distribution-wise, crosses, communication with the defenders.
I mean, the one benefit of being at the team towards the bottom of the table is, you know, as a goalkeeper, you're going to be busy.
Yes, exactly. Every week. Yeah, but obviously...
You said your knee's been feeling a lot better this year, right?
Yeah. Even last year as well.
So what's kind of your plan moving forward? The season's obviously closing soon. We've got, 3 games left?
4 games.
4 games remaining. Have you thought much about next season yet?
I think I'm focused on these 4 games. Then I'll take some break, because mentally this season has been...
Draining.
Yeah, draining. Conceding that amount of goals week in, week out, it's not nice. But, you know, I can control what I can control at the end of the day. I can only give my 100%. I cannot give 101%, because 100% is what I can give at the end of the day. And I feel that during the summer break I will see my options.
I think it's
And-
important for a player to always review options, just see what
Yes.
comes in, what doesn't.
Exactly.
What have you got any more years remaining on the contract? Or
Sirens, no, nothing.
so
No.
you're going to be free agent
Free
again
agent,
in the
yes,
summer.
yes.
So you can kind of see what
Yes,
comes in,
exactly.
whether it's right to stay and try and help
Exactly.
them get promoted, or whether a team in the Premier League comes in and it's too
Exactly.
enticing to turn down.
We'll see how it goes.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about Sports Pro Malta. Obviously, they are the agency that represent you, and it's a concept that a lot of players in Malta I don't think really understand is what an agent actually does for them. So for someone that's obviously one of the exceptions in Malta as a Maltese-based player with an agent, what exactly does the agency do for you? How have they helped you through your career?
Well, ironically, my agents, one of the agents, because they are two now, because they were three before. One of them was in the committee of Tarshin
Okay.
at the time when I signed with Tarshin. So it's like, he then left Tarshin, and then he told me this is going to open an agency, and then he told me that you're going to be one of his first players and stuff like that.
Because it's quite a close-knit agency. They don't
Yes.
have too many players on their
No,
books. I think they focus more on having more intimate relationships with the players that they actually have,
Yes.
and really focusing their attention on the people on their books.
I have been working with them now for the last 7 years, I think. Yes, 7 years or 8, even going to 8, I think. So I have a very good relationship with them. Obviously, they try to get me like the best offers and options from different clubs. Like they advise me, and they give me some sort of insights if I'm going to sign for that club, like what the salaries are like, if they're paid in time and stuff like that
Yeah.
in Malta. And they give me some insight as well. Like which options that I have available, what are the opportunities that I'm going to play, salaries, bonuses, and whatnot. And but they always left it up to me to decide my future at the end of the
Exactly,
day. But I always get good advice from them, so I am happy with them. So
Because I think one thing that players without agents don't realise is the benefit of having an agent. It allows you to focus on your football
yes,
and allows them to then take control of the negotiation stages, the dealing with the managers, the committee members, and
exactly.
arranging the finer details that players don't really want to be wasting their energy on.
Yes,
And
true.
a lot of players, when they negotiate their own details,
Yes.
it's very easy for clubs to take advantage of them in that situation and manipulate them emotionally, or tell them like, look, either sign this or we'll move on. Whereas agents create that barrier between the player and the club that really protects the player from actually being taken advantage of.
Exactly. And even when you go with someone to like negotiate a contract, because I go with either one or the other of my agents, it's like they do most of the talking,
Exactly.
I'll be there like hearing what they're saying and stuff like that. Me and my agent, who's coming with me at the time, we have already like discussed like salaries and bonuses and stuff like that, and then I let him
do his
do
job.
the talking, and negotiation, and do his job basically.
So you mentioned at one point that you did have interest in maybe pushing yourself outside of Malta. So how would have your agents been looking into kind of options for you abroad, or are they more locally based and helping you more within the Maltese leagues?
During the time, like when I was 21, sorry, I had an opportunity to go to Cyprus. This was before my agents, but I had still 1 year of uni left.
Yeah.
To go to study, so I didn't really take that opportunity. It was in Cyprus 2nd division. It was a really good offer, to be honest. And if that offer came like 1 year after, I would have taken it for sure.
Yeah.
It was like good salary, good conditions. Most probably at the club I would have obviously to fight for my place, but it was a good stepping stone for my career. But I didn't want to like lose what I have been working on for.
Well, it's one of those things in Malta. Most players need to maintain a career outside of football, so you're really limiting your options if you suddenly drop out of university to chase football. Whereas staying that extra year solidifies your career and allows you the freedom to then really negotiate properly with football teams.
Exactly. So that was the best opportunity that I've got from the other two that I'm going to mention. I got an opportunity as well. My agents found it for me like 2 years after in Spain. It was something like season 17-18 or 16-17, something like that. But the conditions and stuff weren't that much because, you know, to go abroad, like clubs abroad, they tend to look at Maltese players like that they are not good players, you know.
It's a difficult stigma now that's kind of surrounding the Maltese league because no one watches it outside of Europe. People very much don't understand the level of the ability of players here. They see the national team
and that's it,
not being that successful against
even
other nations.
If you are not a national team player, it's even harder. And the thing is, if for example me and you, we are competing for the goalkeeper position, and you are Italian and I'm Maltese and I'm better than you, like by a few abilities, like for example,
the national bias just of the other person being Italian. He must know football better because football.
So that's a pity, to be honest, because we would have more Maltese players playing abroad.
I really think there is a gap in the market right now for some sort of agency or program to help young, promising Maltese players finish off their development abroad, because there are so many talented players in Malta.
It's true.
That just do not get the opportunity to try and play abroad. I really think the level of Maltese football would benefit so much from players getting that experience abroad and then coming back maybe in the later 20s stage and bringing back what they've learned to the rest of the clubs.
Or staying abroad, going to... that would benefit the national team a lot
some
more.
Of the national team players now, they're doing a lot of recruiting from players with loose citizenship.
What?
Like
yes. That I don't agree with, to be honest.
Where they've got grandparents or a great grandparent that was based in Malta.
That I agree with, but giving nationality to random like Argentinians or random Italians, I don't agree with.
It doesn't make sense.
Nah. It's the national team at the end of the day. You should be of that nationality or at least have some history.
Exactly. For the ones who have family history...
Yeah. I think that's acceptable, to be honest.
Then okay, fair enough.
For example, you have been in Malta for 5 years, you have built a family here, you're married to a Maltese, like the normal way, you know, that's acceptable at the end of the day. You're paying taxes, you're paying social security here. That's
right
normal,
now, they are just looking for anyone and anyone that they might be able to play the system a little bit and get them citizenship, and they fast track them through to the big stage. But the level of the footballer is going up, but at the same time, you are killing any chance of your own homegrown football getting better.
Not even, because sometimes I feel that they do rash decisions about these, and they don't go quite well to plan. So it's like spending money for nothing.
Absolutely
to be honest.
nothing. And again, people that are from, like, have that connection to Malta, they put the shirt on with pride and feel pride for the country when they step out. The ones that obviously just aren't good enough to play for their own national setups and are just looking for another way to get on the national team radar just so that they can then further their club career.
Exactly.
It's, you know what they're doing, and you know they're never going to give as much that another player that's actually from the land and has deep roots connected to the land would give.
It's like... the national team, it's different from club level football. So, in my opinion, obviously, the player should be at least have some kind of history with Malta, with the nation.
So we're getting to the last few minutes of the podcast now. I think we can start wrapping up. Andrea, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Your story's been awesome.
Thanks a lot for the invite.
Really, really interesting. I think there's a lot that especially young players here in Malta stand to learn from listening to you talk about your story, and just the one thing I think they can take from it is to have courage to speak up when you're facing injustice in football, and to like take back control of your own career and not let other people kind of try and dictate where your career goes. So to that, I commend your courage at the time.
Thank you.
You were the first of your kind, really, the first person to really speak up against it, and
the first person, I think,
publicly
Malta
to be a whistleblower.
to report his club, his own club.
Exactly. So in that sense, you really are opening the gateway for other players to be able to come forward and understand for the systems and people that are obviously helping along the way. They've understood the problems that come from that, the issues they need to help with, and the aftercare that's needed to obviously keep players protected when they do it. I think there's been a few high case profiles in recent years that have come to light with national team players facing bans for not being involved in the match fixing scandal, but still getting punished just because
not reporting.
They don't have the means to really report without facing
consequences,
direct scrutiny from the people obviously that are involved. And I think your story will only help the system further educate players, educate committee members, educate clubs and government officials that need to look after and protect the people in these positions. So I appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure there'll be many more years of Andrea Cassar in the headlines doing good things, and based on your performances that you repeatedly give. I promise you, if you've never seen this guy play, he's like a cat in goal. He has 9 lives. You have to shoot 5 times before you even have a chance of scoring.
I try my best always.
The amount of highlights I see of you're on the floor, you've saved the ball, and then suddenly you're up in the air, you've saved it again, you're up in the air again. A striker's nightmare. But guys, this has been episode 16 of the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast. I think me and Andrea are both very tired now. It's been a long conversation, but very, very good one. Guys, if you've enjoyed the episode, leave a like on the episode, comment down below if there's anyone else that you would like to see on the podcast, and make sure you subscribe to the Unprofessional Footballer on YouTube if you'd like to get more football-related content in 5-a-side football or podcast. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.
Andrea, where can people find you online? What's your Instagram? So if people want to follow you, I'll put it up on the screen behind us.
I don't remember them by heart.
Don't remember it? I'll find it for you now, just so that we can put it on.
I think it's Andrea Cassar 1.
Let's have a look. Yeah, Andrea Cassar with an underscore in between, no one. So again, like I said, I'll put it up in the background behind us. And anyone that wants to follow you and follow your career and see what else you get up to next year, then they can find you there. And guys, see you later.